Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project. Are you ready?
All right, we are at the Boogie Street Studio. This is podcast number 2. My guest tonight, Mr. Jeremy Mulder. Thank you,
man.
my friend. Good to be here.
The
Good to have you here.
Eric McKenna Project.
This
right?
is the Eric McKenna Project. This is podcast number 2. Oh, these aren't screw-offs, are they?
Yeah, that's Guinness, buddy. You got to crack that open.
We're gonna probably go through a few of these by the time we're done.
Yeah.
So get ready.
Hey, man, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers. Salutes. When I decided to do this crazy project, it was, full disclosure here, I kind of mentioned it to you. And I got a very strange response from you initially, I'll be honest with you. You were almost like, yeah, okay. Because you were, you be already being in broadcasting. We're gonna get into everything. Mm-hmm. But you already being in broadcasting, are you really aware of what's going on outside of the FCC in the podcast world, in the online media? I mean, obviously you're very prevalent on social media, but have you been following how the growth of podcasting and the alternative, I guess I should say, than traditional media like terrestrial or satellite radio, television, and so forth? I mean, the Joe Rogan thing is just insane, and I'll be honest with you, Joe Rogan was a primary motivator months and months ago when I formulated this idea because of the success that show had. I want to do something more specific, the Pittsburgh region and so forth. But have you paid attention to that at all?
I've watched a couple of his. Oddly enough, I listened to the Ron Burgundy podcast.
Is that new?
Yeah, and I think it came out a couple weeks ago, and I'm a Will Ferrell fan,
Yes,
so
yes.
I listened to a few of those. They're dumb. You gotta like dumb, random
That's
stuff like
slapstick
that.
stuff, right?
Yeah, but I think to answer your question, I haven't listened to a whole lot of podcasts. I think that sometimes I'm turned off by them if it's just like a replay of something that was on the radio or on television. If it's
Right.
some original content like this, it's more interesting to me. And I know there's a lot of that out there on the podcast.
I think there is.
World.
I think there is. The one component that I thought Rogan was well ahead of his compadres, or everybody came after him, was he really incorporated video. And I've listened to him talk about that, and he almost did it as an afterthought because he started as an audio-only podcast. I guess that's the essence of what a podcast was. That's kind of an Apple word, I guess, and it was audio only. You downloaded it, or some monetize it, some don't, which we don't, by the way. But the video thing to me is so much more compelling. I think
it's interesting.
I like to see the inflection. Case in point, many years ago, I had the opportunity to be on your show, and we were doing video. It was archaic because I think it was 2006 or 5 or something, and we were using these little or I think they were Windows devices or something, but we would do video once in a while in the studio, and it was a hoot.
Yeah.
And everybody loved it, but I don't think that time the method to deliver it was really there. I don't think YouTube was there. I think it was very at the beginning, but I remember how much fun it was being in the studio with you with photos and video. And you did incorporate video as soon as you were able to, but
Yeah.
you couldn't do it on a massive scale.
Well, I jumped on MySpace as soon as it came out and
MySpace.
worked that. Yeah, I mean, you think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you
Oh,
are,
I was there too. I get it.
if you are at least 12 years old, I mean, or if you're 13 years old, you were born before there were really iPhones. They were before there were iPhones. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
all this is so new.
Still.
I mean, what did MySpace come out like? 04, 05 is
I think 04 maybe.
and then Facebook, and then it's just been like a revolution of social media. But I think podcasts are cool. Actually, I have one, and
I know.
I do put like original content. I try not to like copy an interview I played on the air and just put it on the podcast. I try to do an interview with someone like you're doing and just post it on there.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that I like what you're doing. I mean, this studio is killer.
Thank you. I
I'm jealous of
appreciate
it extremely. I mean,
Well, my wife was laughing because she said it's kind of like she goes, you're either gonna go there and you're gonna work and come home, or you're gonna go there and I'm never gonna see you again, because it's almost like a tribute to yourself.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
kind of ridiculous, but it's it's just the Boogie Street thing ran its course. Jeremy, you saw a lot of that, and
yeah.
it just this is just, since it's gone, this is kind of what's left. But there's a reminder of what we did. And that's kind of what people do with man caves. I get it. But here I wanted to do something different. And I figured, why not dedicate the legacy of what Boogie Street did for 15 years and kind of incorporate it in the motif so people think it's cool, it's comfortable. And, so far, it seems to be working. So
I don't want to screw up your interview, but
You're not screwing up
that's
anything.
how I know this guy. You had Froggy Radio
Right.
was in Robinson Township, about 10 miles west of downtown Pittsburgh. And in our same building was this guy. He had a guitar shop, Boogie Street Guitars, making Washburn guitars. And our radio station struck up a friendship with you because, in a way, we're both in the music business.
No question.
And
you guys were much more generous to me than I was able to be generous to all of you, I can assure you.
Well, we had a nice agreement. You know,
we did.
We always had stars coming through the studio.
Yes.
And we like to get like an autographed guitar. And we made a deal like, hey, you hook us up with a guitar. And I mean, I know this is your interview, but name some of the stars we brought down to the Boogie Street headquarters.
I mean, there was Dolly Parton. There was
just Dolly Parton.
There was just Dolly Parton, right. The guys from Leonard Skinner, the two, the singer and I guess I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, Van Zandt.
Van Zandt came through. I found those photos.
And then they wore your shirt on CMT.
That evening. Yeah. We gave them some swag. And
didn't we bring Taylor Swift down there, too?
You did, and that's what I was leading up to. And it was funny because that day, I think I mentioned this to you, this is kind of like not one of my finer moments, but it was a one-man operation. I had a guy that would come in and help me once in a while, Fred. And the issue was that day I wasn't really scheduled to be there. And Fred's on the phone with me. Hey, I think it was you or Frank Bell or someone from Froggy said, "Hey, we're going to bring this artist. This is a really, she's on the cusp of really doing something amazing." And Fred's like, "Yeah, I think I know this. I know this girl. I think she's going to be really big."
Yeah.
I just didn't want to come back.
You didn't come in for it.
I didn't come back for it. No. I went through my notes. I thought I was there, revisiting his history.
Yeah.
Went through my notes, and I wasn't. I kept a pretty good diary of those years, and that day I did not go back. And Freddie was searching for a camera. There was no camera phones then. I want to say this was like 08 maybe, 07, something like that.
Well, you know what? She was on my show that day in studio.
Right.
And she hung out for a while. I think it was 06.
Was it 06? Okay.
Yeah, so I think that was about 13 years ago. She's 29 now. I believe she was 16 then.
Wow. I tell that story to my daughter, who grew, she's 16 now, but she grew up with the Taylor Swift there, went to all the concerts. You were very kind 1 year or two earlier and before she got mega star, but you were able to connect her in a nice package that evening for her and her mother to go to the show. But she loves Taylor Swift, and she goes, "Dad, I can't believe you didn't turn around that car and come back." I said, "I didn't even know who she was at the time."
Yeah, right.
And the next thing you know, boom. It was almost like overnight. She was there.
Yep.
And a couple months later, And you saw a lot of that. I mean,
that's the way it is with every star. They start out as nobodies. I mean, if anybody out there is dreaming of being a star one day, unless unless you're like, I'm trying to think, unless you're Brad Pitt's son or something, you know what I'm saying? Unless you're a celebrity's child, you're gonna have to work your way up to it. Yeah, Taylor Swift did it.
She and the whole thing with her was a crossover, right? Did you see that coming? I mean, let me ask you this: a lot of these artists that came through Froggy and still do, when you're interviewing them, can you sometimes differentiate like this one or this group? They got something special. Did you ever get a feeling, and other times you don't get it? Are the feelings generally pretty spot on, or are you surprised sometimes?
Well, yeah. Never count anyone out.
Okay.
That's what I would tell you. The people, sometimes the people you think aren't going to make it, because there's so many factors in it. But
really?
Yeah, there's been people. I mean. Gabby Barrett, she certainly hasn't made it to the top yet, but when she walked into the Froggy studio back in like 2014, she's a Pittsburgh girl.
It was that long ago.
Yeah, she made it to the finale of American Idol last May,
right.
So 2018, but she came through the studio and I was like, wow, she's good.
That intangible. It's even hard to describe, but it's there.
And there's a lot of talent. I think Pittsburgh, if you don't know, there's a lot of musical talent here, and but Gabby was like next level talent, and I noticed it, and a lot of people noticed it, and she's still working her way up. But
she's just getting started right now.
She's just getting started. I mean, literally in a year from now, it'll probably be hard to get a hold of her, any of us. You know what I mean? Or it could take 5 years. Yeah. It takes a long time. Taylor Swift came through. She was from Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. The connection. She
absolutely.
My boss at the time was friends with her father.
Absolutely.
But it took a couple years for her too, though. She started having hit songs like 06, 07, 08, 09. She was still opening up for other people, but then 2011 she sold out Heinz Field. So it didn't like 5 years later.
It was the crossover, right? It was taking.
No. It was before the crossover. She crossed over a couple years ago. I think the reason she did that is because, I don't know. I don't know. I could tell.
Did it surprise you, or do you see it coming?
Well, she didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could make music that you can, that has a poppy sound now, and country music is the top 40 of the radio now.
There's no question, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, let's go into that right now, because that is something that opened my eyes. I was a rock and roller my whole life. I started this guitar business. I'm catering to rock and roll, hard rock in many instances too. But those years that I had the opportunity to be next to Froggy in that building, it just opened my eyes into a whole new, and it was happening so fast. One of the questions I really have never asked you, and I want to now, and I think it's a great opportunity to do it. You know, we're a couple years difference in age, but to me, when I look back at country music as a kid, there was traditional country music that I had no interest in this. I had no one in my family to listen to it. When I thought of country music, I thought of Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard,
Yeah, they're
Conway
great.
Twitty. I mean, that's what my mind was with country music. And then this guy named Garth Brooks came along, and I want to say it was 91, 92 maybe. And then
you're right on the money.
He hit it hard in 93, 4, and 5. I mean, he was the biggest thing on the planet. But it had a different sound. It almost had a pop sound, or it had something that it was somewhat guitar driven in many instances. It was something that I could actually enjoy as a rock and roll fan.
Yeah. And, he's got Heinz Field sold out for May 18th.
Well, that's what I mean. Did modern country music start with him?
Some people would say it did. I think they would. I mean, I was young when he came out, and I was still in high school.
Don't fib.
I was. I'll tell you, I graduated in 1991, high school.
Okay.
And then, but I remember when I got into country radio in the early to mid 90s. I got into country radio in the mid. I started out. I didn't start out on country radio.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I actually started out on a top 40 station in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was Danger Boy. You didn't know that?
No.
I actually thought about wearing
Danger Boy.
I still have the leather jacket that says the radio station name. It was FM 100 in Memphis, and it said Danger Boy.
Danger Boy.
I had that jacket. I wore it with pride. I did stunts, and I was on the morning show there.
Okay.
And
did you co-host, or was your show?
No. Ron Olson, who is still on the radio in Memphis.
Okay.
And a guy named Steve Conley, who was the program director there at the time, and he's still on the radio in Memphis too as well. They were like a top show in town, and they needed an intern. I went and interned there, and then it turned.
So they named you, right?
And then yeah. I never told you that.
No.
Oh yeah.
No. I think I've asked what the Danger stick was, or where that motif came from. You never gave me an answer. You would just smile and laugh.
Yeah,
so I know.
I was in college, and I went over there and interned. And then at the end of my internship, they called me and said, "Hey, we want to hire you." And actually, they hadn't even started calling me Danger Boy yet. Right after they hired me, there was like an ice storm. 1994, I think, was the year, and they sent me out with remember those big cell phones that were like
the bricks.
Oh yeah, I had one of those, and I was like
750s they called them, I think.
And I was like, "Hey, it's Danger Boy. I'm driving around the ice storm, and then it just started everything you could.
Who came up with Danger Boy?
I think it would have been. I think Ron Olson, who's the morning guy down there, was the guy that.
Is he still there?
Oh yeah, he's still there. He nicknamed me that.
Danger Boy.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. There was a cool song. Here he comes, he's Danger Boy. Na 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 na. And then they made Danger Boy T-shirts and sold them at the mall. I'm not kidding you. And they sold out. I have one. Someone bought one for me and gave it to me with the price tag on it, and I never took the tag off. It is hanging in my closet now. It's 25 years later.
That's wild.
And that was when I was in college. And a couple years later, a man named Frank Bell heard me on the radio and called me and said, "Hey, do you want to do your own show?" And he was on a country radio station. And I was like, at the time I had my hair bleached blonde.
So what did you listen to before you got the country gig? I mean, I know you love country music. I know, and it's not an act with you. I know that.
No.
But
when I was a kid, though.
Yeah, what else do you?
Because I've been in radio since I was a kid.
Yeah, right. But what did you dig as a kid? Was it pop music? Did you like rock? What did you really like?
I think a lot of people like what their dad was listening to. I think, or their parents. And my dad liked Alabama, Kenny Rogers. He loved John Fogerty.
Okay.
he liked Elton John,
right.
Chicago,
Yep.
but he didn't like the 80s love song, Elton John and Chicago. He liked the 70s.
late 60s, 70s.
Oh, yeah, and I still love that. Every now and
Me
then,
too.
every now and then when I'm at home, I'll be like, Alexa, play Chicago 25 or 6-4 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like when they were rebels before they became the love ballad guys. But my dad liked all that, so I liked it. I think I got into top 40, and then when I was in college, I was like, Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots. Oh yeah,
STP.
I was, and I did do 1 year after I left FM 100 in Memphis, which was a top 40 station.
Right.
I went to an alternative rock station, and I got my own show. I was Danger Man.
So you progressed.
I did. And
That's great.
And I went there and I played like Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins. I went to their concerts.
Okay, so my question was, you're doing that, which was probably more in touch with what you liked.
But I'm in Tennessee. Remember, I'm in Tennessee.
Okay, so the market's smaller.
Well, no. Memphis is there's 1 million people there, but it's smaller than Pittsburgh, no doubt. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but it's Tennessee. It's country music. That's what I was leading to. I'm in Tennessee.
Okay. So Frank Bell at
he
Froggy
heard
Radio
me on the
heard
radio
you.
because I didn't know.
Now, how did that happen? Was it a random thing? Was he in the area? Was he
Yep.
was he searching for talent? How did it happen?
Well, they had radio stations in Memphis.
You don't say.
And one day I came into work, and Frank Bell,
Smart ass.
Frank Bell was my boss at Froggy for a long time. Now he works for Taylor Swift. I'll just throw
Right.
that out
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
just for people listening or watching.
Right.
But he, I came into work. You know how they remember those little pink notes, like someone called you,
Yeah.
and it said Frank Bell called you, and this was at the radio station. Okay, so I go sit down at my desk and I call him back, and he's like, "Oh, I was calling you about a job," and immediately I was so nervous. I was like, "Oh my God, I just called somebody about a job, and I'm at work." I'm like 22 years old, 21 years old. I don't know. But immediately I was just like,
Trying to go in a closet.
yeah, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have called you right here.
Phones had cords and cables.
I thought it
on,
was
right?
somebody that, who knows what,
Right.
So anyway, we set up a meeting. I went and met with him, and then he was like, I want to take you to, actually, the true story is he gave me an option of 3 jobs. One was in Pennsylvania that I didn't take, and the other one was in St. Louis that I didn't take. And he said, because I was young, I was scared to move away.
Sure.
And then he said, or you can stay here in Memphis and do our country station. And I was like, here I am with bleach blonde hair, playing Smashing Pumpkins on the radio.
Did you have an earring?
I did not. He says I did, but I've never had an earring.
Yeah, you don't seem. I can't see you with an earring.
No. If he was here, he would say I did. I did not have an earring. But I go, are you sure that would work? He goes, listen, you're from Tennessee. He goes, you'll do fine. So I took the job. I was like, all right, I'll try this out. And so it was 1996, 23 years ago that I started. And that company that I worked for there is basically the company now. So it's been a long run. They came to Pittsburgh, but he was right. Huge success. It was like the ratings went like this. I gained a following. I did stunts all the time. It was like my show, but I was still the danger character. And I did stunts all the time back then. Every week I would go out. You remember the speed limit signs that would say like speed limit 55 while flashing?
Yes.
We still have them. I stood next to it and flashed one day all morning. And I was like, hey, the speed limit's 55 while flashing. I just flashed the whole time. So really stupid stuff.
But I mean, was that a character or was that pretty much your personality growing up? Because I couldn't do that. So what I'm saying to you is, it's that's unusual to me.
Well, if you want to go back that far, yeah. When I was a kid, I one of my first presents when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I remember, was they got me one of those little tape recorders you could push play and record yourself. Mm-hmm. And I would record radio. I would pretend like I was on the radio.
So you wanted it.
Oh, yeah. I'd be like,
you even knew what
this
it was.
is Jeremy Mulder, and here's the new song from,
And I want to go out and flash myself on
yeah,
the highway.
But if my mom was sitting here, she would tell you that I never, though, was the kind of guy that was just like, here's this song. I was doing bits back then. I would get my sisters and stuff and friends, and I would write out a script for them, and we would act out a bit. We were little kids.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Actually, I had a little show called Midnight Mania, where I would tape it, and I would it was called Midnight Mania. But anyway, yeah, I did all that stuff. It was fun. So a lot of my family will write me on, social media every now and then and go, that's crazy, you're doing what you always wanted to do. You know what I mean?
That in and of itself is so rare,
Right.
and so good.
It's like a little kid saying he wants to be a fireman and actually being a fireman or a police officer. Or I didn't think about it. I went to college at the University of Memphis, and I had an interest in music. I was a music major my freshman year.
Right.
And then one day, the theater and communications building was right across, And I walked over there, and I heard there was a radio station there. And I walked down, and I was like, oh, here it is. It's like an FM, most it was University of Memphis, big college down there. And I said, what do I got to do?
Tape carts still probably?
Yeah, they were using, actually, they were just switching to CD players because it was like 1993, 94. And I said, what do I got to do to be on this radio station? And the guy, Dr. Bob McDowell, he's passed away now, but he said, you got to take this class in the fall. Signed up for it. Bam. I went to there. I got a radio show on the college radio station, and then I had an opportunity to be the sports director, which was a paying job. And I did play-by-play for University of Memphis football and basketball for 2 years.
I didn't know any of this. That's
I was
very
a sports
cool.
announcer
That's
for
very
2 years
cool.
as well. So I did a lot. You know what I learned, though, about sports? I love sports, but if you are the announcer, you have to work every game.
So you can't enjoy the game.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to do that.
So you obviously, there was a fork in the road, and you took music as opposed to sports.
Yep, that's it.
But you're a sports fan.
Oh, I love sports. Now, I will tell you that I don't get to watch it as much anymore. I have a lot of children.
Yes.
A lot of responsibility.
Yes, you do.
But I do love it. My dad still texts me every time. He's like, hey, the Memphis Tigers are playing tonight at 7:30 on ESPN2 or something, and I try to tune it in or whatever.
You're a golf fan, too.
I like golf.
I see a lot of photos of you golfing. A lot with your pops, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now, listen, I play less than 10 times a year.
Oh, okay.
Now,
so there you go. See, the deception of social media rears its ugly head again.
Yeah, no. But when I lived in Tennessee, and which, by the way, this month is 17 years I've been here in Pittsburgh.
Incredible.
So it's been a while.
17 years with Froggy.
Yeah, same job. 17 years ago right now, I was loading up the
congratulations.
SUV. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Cheers to that, yeah.
Absolutely.
But when I lived...
strange trip it's been.
Yeah. The couple years before I moved to Tennessee, me and my dad would play twice a week down there because it was warm.
And the weather. You could play year-round.
So one year, I think we played like 100 rounds in a year. We were killing it, man.
You must love it then.
Oh, I loved it. And I look back at that, and I don't regret it at all. Those were like 3 or 4 years. I was in my early 20s, and me and my dad really... Imagine playing golf with your dad twice a day. A golf round's like 4 or 5 hours. So that's 10 hours a week. Me and my dad were like, and he's still, he's still alive and great guy. But, I look at that now, and I go, man, I'm glad I had that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That was
Absolutely.
such a bonding. I wish we could do it right now, But in Pittsburgh, the weather is not conducive to golf. But one thing I love about watching golf is that it's warm weather.
You watch golf?
Oh, yeah. I'll turn it on sometimes.
The man that just said, I have very little free time because I have kids and things. But then he says in the next breath, but when you watch golf, who watches golf?
Well, I don't have much time to watch it. But one thing I do is I like to kick it on because it's like somewhere warm and sunny.
Yes, it is.
And that just puts me in a good mood.
And then it puts me right to sleep. But anyways, so Frank Bell brings you here, and I think you were probably on the air here a year or so before I think I met you. I think you were here.
I came in March of 2002, so when did you get
2
your
years,
office?
04.
Okay, yeah, so I've been here 2 years, yep.
Wow.
Yeah, those were the early days. I saw you post about this podcast saying that, I had you in for the Froggy Idol, and I did. I had you in there a bunch of times.
It was awesome. Yeah, I was the go-to replacement guy, see. They have all these big – here's the truth. They have all these big heavy hitters, these big advertisers on the station, and justifiably so. Part of the package, I'm assuming, was that they could bring a member of their team on there or the owner or someone on. Is that pretty much how it worked?
Actually, no. I mean, I brought media in mostly, if you remember. I'd bring people from the Post-Gazette, the Tribune Review. Is that even around anymore? Tribune Review?
I think the press is gone, right? Pittsburgh Press. You weren't here for the Pittsburgh Press.
No, you're going way back. Right. Forbes Field. But
ass.
But and then local TV stations. I mean, I used to have people like, this is showing that she hasn't been around here a long time. Julie Bologna. I had her in.
Yeah.
And then when we did the shows at the Pepsi Roadhouse, I would have them in every now and then. I remember Melina would come in.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it was a great time, man. It was a real – and I was just looking at pictures the other day where one day for the Froggy Idol finale, Miranda Lambert was in. She was playing guitar.
I remember.
Were you there? I have pictures of it. Oh, yeah. I have pictures of it. I just found it. Like, how Facebook gives you the memory?
Oh, yeah.
It was like, here's Miranda Lambert sitting here next to you, like singing while other people – imagine how cool that is. You go into a radio station – to compete to win a radio contest, which our prize was always to open up
Right.
for someone
Right.
at the Pepsi Roadhouse.
Right.
And then Miranda Lambert sitting there playing guitar with you.
Well, I always used to joke with my father at the time because my father was a contractor and he had a lot of work in that building. My dad was kind of always around, you know.
I probably met him.
Yeah,
What's your dad's
plenty
name?
of
I've
time.
seen his
Daniel. Yeah, I remember you knew him. But,
Okay.
But the funny part, I would say, Dad, it's just crazy. I go use the bathroom in the hallway there. You know, I never know who I'm going to run into.
That's funny.
I know. A funny story was for me, which was really cool, was I think before I was even introduced to you, the first couple weeks I was at Froggy was I'm in the bathroom and I'm in the stall and I had my kids were really young. I think I had my son with me and I was helping him, you know, learn how to use the bathroom, right? Really young.
It's called potty training.
Potty training, yeah. So I've taken him into a stall.
I've done a lot of that.
And I hear two men walk into the bathroom, and I hear this voice, and I'm like, "Holy hell, that's Jimmy Roach."
Oh yeah,
That's Jimmy Roach. I thought that's Jim. That voice came from my childhood.
Yeah.
You know, listening to WDVE in Pittsburgh here, the
Yep.
rock station, and just forming like a casual acquaintanceship with him was very cool, and just talking rock and roll with him every chance I got. I mean, he really was a good egg. I mean, I really never knew who I was going to run into there, and it was always. I learned more about country music and the local music scene from you and Donnie Fast and everybody that was around me. Tim Miller, you know, Gerald
Love
Getz.
Tim
These
Miller.
are great people.
Oh, yeah.
They treated me really. The great thing about Froggy to me, Lynn Deppen, the whole
Oh, yeah.
the whole staff of that place didn't know me from Adam. I was just a neighbor down the hallway in a small space that had a bunch of guitars, and
Yep.
they. Whether it was holiday, was it picnics, it was tickets to events. I mean, it was amazing the generosity of it. It's a tremendously well run. Forget the broadcasting part of it. Tremendously well run company.
I just want to say it was an honor to work with Jimmy Roach for 10 years. When I moved here to Pittsburgh, I mean, I'm from the South. I came to do afternoons, which
Right.
I'd always done morning show. And then, Jimmy Roach was on the mornings, and we did that for 10 years, from 2002 to 2012, and just first class, professional. I love working with someone that you can learn something from. You know what I mean? Someone
Right.
you can go, and that was that guy. I mean, he's just a
It was
pro.
a little different for me though, hearing him on a country station. I will tell you, that was a little different.
Well, that's
was
that's
an
before
adjustment.
I came here.
Yeah, that was an
so-
adjustment. That was an adjustment for sure.
But you can listen to him on anything. The guy's voice.
The voice is just so recognizable, and Jimmy, we used to imitate Jimmy Roach's kids. We would get on the, we go on the school bus in the morning. We get a little boom box and turn on DV and wait for him to bring, or he'd say something. Next up is Led Zeppelin.
That's
So
funny.
It was just so cool. Yeah, I never forget that. But it was so interesting too that it just. Again, it's doing business, so it becomes the norm. But for someone like myself, just walking in there and seeing country stuff, I think I saw that person. That person was on TV like last month. Like, I mean, it was amazing to me, just as a fan of music, and it just gets old. Not old. It just gets not run of the mill either. I'm sure it's special, but it becomes just part of doing business in your job.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I'd like to kind of to segue a little bit, because for all of the popularity you have in this town that you built and you grew organically, I might commend you on, and how popular you are. To me, the most popular on-air broadcasting personality in Pittsburgh. And that's and I
appreciate
honestly
that.
believe that, and
That's arguable, but I appreciate it.
Well,
I've definitely been here. I mean, 17
bring it
years.
on, bring it on. What I'm saying to you though is, you also as part of your job, you go to the Country Music Awards. And you also
Yep.
go to the Academy of Country Music Awards as well. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's right.
Academies?
Yep.
There's 2 award shows in country music.
One's in Vegas, which is going to be in April. So
Right.
next month, I'll be going there for the Academy of Country Music Awards. And then
Right.
the Country Music Awards, CMAs,
Yes.
are in Nashville in November.
Okay.
And that's like going home for me, going back to Tennessee.
Sure,
So I
sure.
really enjoy that one. I like Vegas, too.
You don't say.
Especially going there the first week of April when it's already 95 degrees, and there's a good chance we might still be shoveling snow here then.
Strong probability.
It's nice. It's nice.
So you go there, and part of your job is on representing the station is to interview all these national acts.
Mm-hmm.
The first year or two you did that, was it a little overwhelming, or did you? I mean, you seem so natural and fluid with it. You really wouldn't be able to tell if you were ever intimidated. You just have that intangible thing for professionalism, and I've admired that. That's not the last compliment you're going to get today, but I'm just letting you know I have. But Was there ever an interview you can look back on in those early years, like, oh my gosh, that's Garth Brooks sitting there talking to me?
Yeah. I think that when I do, like, especially going to an award show where you're going to interview like 50 people, or 25 one day and then 25 the next day, that's crazy.
Right.
When I see, like, a couple years ago when Taylor Swift was like the biggest star and she was still in country music, and you knew they're like, you're only going to have like 2.5 minutes.
Right.
Don't go 1 second over it. Yeah,
but she knows you.
Well, she does.
And it has to be rewarding too.
I mean, like,
it does.
I've been around long enough where most of them know me. It's funny how, but to answer that question, it's like, yeah. When I know that Taylor Swift's the hottest artist in the world right now,
not just country.
And this is like 4 years ago.
Right.
I'm not even talking about now. She hasn't done those shows the last couple of years because she's gone pop. But
right.
Yeah, I was nervous.
Or fighting with Kanye.
But you know what, though? Most times, if you were to look back on the videos online, I was happy with how they turned out because I prepared. I'm not nervous to talk to anyone because I'm not like, I just want it to be interesting. I always think of an interview about who's listening. I think I've got to make this interesting to people driving down the road in Pittsburgh. That's all I ever think. I never think, I hope, I don't, it's never, one of the rules I told you is and I think I've done this like 99% of the time. I never make it about me.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
Because who cares about me? That's always been my rule. Who cares about me?
That's why we're sitting here, because we're turning the tables today.
But yeah, so Taylor Swift, a couple times Luke Bryan when he was just like, but he's he's so nice. It's ridiculous.
You introduced me to him before, twice. That was kind of a thrill for me. I like him.
Yeah, he is a really nice guy.
Yeah,
I tell him that. I say, people ask me who the nicest country singer is. I'm like, Luke Bryan. And he'll go, well, it'll get you to heaven. That's what he says. But most of them are. I would say if you listen to country music and you wonder what the artists are like, they're all nice now. I mean, there was a time when I first got in the 90s, there were a lot of artists that were introverts.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because back then they didn't have social media.
Like Travis Tritt.
He wasn't. I actually interviewed him back because when I started in the 90s, he was still kicking. And he was just here, I think, like last month, but or he might be coming soon. But he wasn't an introvert. He liked to talk.
Really?
There were a lot of them that were introverts. I mean, I don't think it's an insult to call someone an introvert. Like
not at all.
There were artists in the 90s that you would ask them a question, they would just go, yes, no.
Really?
They didn't want. Oh yeah, they didn't want to do that. They wanted to sing and play music. But now with social media and the world we live in, I can tell you from the country music side, there's a couple people that I think might be a little bit introvert. A couple out of 100.
So introvert doesn't. It's harder to be an introvert today.
Yeah.
And make it because you're expected to be a social media force.
In show business, yeah. Back in the day.
Self-promotion.
In the 90s, if you were a country music fan, Garth Brooks or George Strait or Alan Jackson, George Strait, they never do interviews.
Right.
They don't want to be interviewed. They just want to go up there and sing their songs.
Right.
And Garth Brooks is not an introvert. He's an extrovert. And he came in right as, before social media, but back then, if you heard of maybe a radio interview, maybe some TV blurb, and then you just saw them on concerts and heard their records. That's all. Like, I know you're a huge Kiss fan. Mm-hmm. The only thing you knew is what you heard when you listened to the record. That's how you got to know them.
That's what made rock for me as a child so awesome. I don't know if it would have had the same impact on me had I grew up in this era.
And you saw their Instagram page posting pictures daily.
It's almost too much. It's for me. For me, and I'm not saying it is too much.
Takes away the mystery a little bit.
And and I think in rock music in general, and you take the 70s, there was a lot of things that made parents very uncomfortable, and I love that. You see, that was what the mystery of the rock is. And now I think there's still a lot of risque and overtly sexual things out there, unfortunately, I think. But it's the norm anymore, and it crosses all genres of music. I think country is still the last bastion where you're generally going to get things that are pretty acceptable or PG plus rated. Eventually, that'll probably change too, but there's a wholesomeness to country overall that it's been tested, but I think overall there's a wholesomeness to country that is not in R&B, it's not in rock, it's not in heavy metal. It's I think, and in this era of social media, that's rare.
Country music is one of the formats that if you turn it on in the car when your kids are in the car, you're probably all right. Well, especially in Pittsburgh because drinking is very acceptable.
Okay, so when you got here, obviously, did Did you find that out when you got here, or did you already have a running start when you came from Memphis?
You know what? When I lived in Tennessee, and I moved here in my mid-20s, so, I mean, I hadn't been a drinking age very long, but I did not usually ever have alcohol at the house at all. Like, I would only drink if I went out to a thing or whatever. And when I came here, I remember at the airport a shirt that said, Pittsburgh, a football town with a drink, or no, a drinking town with a football problem. And I laughed. And one of my very first,
true.
Yeah. And one of my very first observations in Tennessee, there's a saying, and it's true. There's a church on every corner, and in Pittsburgh, there's a bar on every corner,
and a church on the other corner. I mean, pretty much
every other corner.
Every other, yeah. Well, especially today.
And some of the churches have been made into breweries here.
Yes, yeah. That's a phenomenon. I mean, I'm sure it didn't start in Pittsburgh, but that really freaked me out. Not to deviate too much, but the original was the church brew house, I think.
I think it's still there.
Yeah,
it's still there. There's one that's
went there 20 years ago, or about 20 years ago probably, and I went in there, and it's just the whole concept of the stained glass and then the organ. The two just didn't. This Catholic boy wasn't buying it.
Right.
So. Now, when you got here and Frank offers the job, you come to Pittsburgh. You lived downtown for a while, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I lived in a high-rise right across the street from Mellon Arena. I was like on the 18th floor.
In your mid-20s.
Yeah.
What a cool time to be alive.
I could hear the Penguins game, like if they scored, it would go, and I'd be able to hear it. Because, I don't know if you ever, those apartments are still there. They're called City View now.
Oh, sure.
And it's just glass windows all through it, and sometimes I'd be in there and I would just hear, and I'd be, I turned the Penguins game on. They just scored. And then when I went to games, I just went down the elevator and walked right across the street to the game.
So you went basically from, if you were going to experience Pittsburgh, get an immediate, an immediate impression of the town, you did it right. You went right downtown and lived there. Yeah,
and Pittsburgh's one of those towns where you can do it. And people, it's funny how when some people that live in Pittsburgh, because they've never been anywhere else, they're like, it's too dangerous down there. I'm like, go to like Detroit or D.C. or Miami or my hometown, Memphis. You can push your kids in a stroller around downtown Pittsburgh.
No question.
And
no question.
It's a great town. It's a great place to raise your family. It didn't take me long to learn that at all. I enjoyed being downtown for a bit. And,
so why did you leave?
Well, kids. So I thought, you need to be in a school zone probably. So we moved out to the suburbs.
Probably.
Unless you have buku bucks, then you can put them in a private school somewhere. But no, and plus the radio station's in the suburbs.
Sure.
It's in Robinson.
Sure.
So it was kind of silly me driving into town to go home and then driving out to the suburbs to go to work. I enjoyed it, though. Listen, I did enjoy it. And I used to joke on the radio, I would say.
You were the right age to enjoy it, too.
I said I was the only redneck that lived in the Hill District. Because where that apartment is, someone told me it was the Hill District.
It's right on the fringe, I think.
I think it's actually uptown, but it didn't change my story.
It is uptown. The only redneck on the hill. So you've been here since 2002, right?
Yeah, 17 years ago right now I moved here.
So what's the biggest change you've seen in Pittsburgh? It can be culture related. It can be, I don't know, doesn't really matter. What's the biggest change you've seen in the town?
Oh boy.
I know what change we haven't seen. The Pirates are still bad.
Yeah, well, we had that. We had 3 years where they made the playoffs. That was shocking. That was depressing because I was always a baseball fan growing up. And when I came here and I started following them, because I like baseball, I like having it on during the summer. It's like every night. I know you're a huge baseball fan.
I love baseball.
But so I came here in 2002, and I think we were 10 years into the 20 straight losing streak or whatever, 20-year losing streak.
20-plus years, I think.
So I lived here for 10 more to get to 20, and it was just awful. It was like, it's unforgivable. You don't lose 20 straight seasons where you have a losing record. But the biggest change, you know what? I don't know that there's been any huge changes. I mean, like, some of the changes I've noticed are like towns like Lawrenceville.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, me and my wife's from Pittsburgh. And like 2 weeks ago, from doing real estate, starting a real estate business,
absolutely,
checking out Lawrenceville. It's one of my favorite areas. I said to her, let me take you to dinner in Lawrenceville, and she was like, oh no, she was like, that's not safe.
Nothing.
And I was like,
no, thank you.
Because there are people in Pittsburgh that have grown up here that have, like, 10 years ago, Lawrenceville was not a really good, it was a very unsafe, high crime area.
Me?
Yeah.
I used to work on Penn Avenue down there at the Cellular One and AT&T cell service,
Yeah.
like late 80s, early 90s. And you had to go kind of on the fringe of Lawrenceville to go to Bloomfield. You had to either go drink or eat.
Yeah.
Lawrenceville, I was like head down. I mean, I wouldn't, and you didn't
Yeah.
want to make a mistake and turn off a side street because
Yeah.
you might not come back.
I mean, it's just a fact. Crime was high there, but it's like unbelievable now. It is just booming. So I took my wife
it's
there.
the spot.
Yeah, I took her to dinner. She loved it. She's like, "Oh man, I like it now."
It's the spot.
We don't want to move there because school zone. We got a bunch of kids. But I'm sure there's probably something happening there with the school zone too. Though. Hey, if you can afford to live in Lawrenceville, you can afford to send your kids to private school.
I cannot believe the property value there. It's incredible.
Oh, it's nuts.
It's and that just goes to show you it's really determined by just trends. It's the same place, folks. The housing is nicer, but it's the same place. But it's the in place. It's the place to be. Place to be. So you did this job. We've been with Froggy before social media. And now you're wrapped up in social media, obviously, to promote your show. And yeah, certainly the real estate thing is on the side. But the show organically has grown and grown and grown. And the social media has kept up with that. And that's not an easy job. But your job, how has social media influenced your day in, day out work on there? Just the amount of posting, the videos. Do you ever feel like, if you don't, you may not want to do something, but you have to go ahead and keep posting because you have to keep up with it?
We don't have any rules. I don't have a rule on that. I probably should. I have friends in television that have told me that like they have to post like 1 or 2 posts a day. It's like a rule at the TV station. I don't. I should. You're getting me here. I should have that. But, when I got into it, country music was really rising in Pittsburgh. I came here in 2002, and it was like the boom in country music was happening.
So that's a change that you've seen then over the course of you being here, and you're like an instrumental part of that whole thing.
Well,
and the station, but obviously your show.
I benefited from it.
You benefited from it too, but I think if anyone that lives in this town and listens to your show, whether it's once a week or every day, it's the fact that you do a lot of remotes. You do a lot of things, whether they're rarely during the day. You're usually in studio during the day, but you do a lot of evening and weekend remotes as well, too, which is a big part of radio. And I think it's the unseen part of people who have the assumption that, those radio folks just make so much money and they go in for a couple of days and a couple hours a day and work. And because that was the assumption I had growing up. I thought being a DJ was the greatest thing. I mean, think about it. You go to work. I mean, you're only on for 2 or 3 hours, and then the poor bastard that does the midnight shift goes from 12 to 6. He's on for 6 hours, but
Right.
Still, it was
funny
only
observation.
It was as a kid, you say, well, that guy's on all night. The point is, you do a couple hours of work and you get to go home, and I'm sure you're making great money and you're famous and the whole thing. And obviously, that's not reality.
Well, I mean, remember, I did the mornings in Tennessee. So when they brought me here, they said, we want you to do your show, but do it in afternoon. And the first thing I thought is, holy crap, I get to sleep in. Because, I had done, several years in my 20s where I was getting up at 4 in the morning.
It's hard to do that in your 20s.
Yeah. And so anyway, I got to sleep in, which was awesome. But then, country music was on the rise here.
Right.
I had all the stars coming through my show. I don't know how it worked out, and God bless you, Jimmy Roach, for not complaining about this because he was doing the morning show. But all these stars, well, they didn't want to get up at 7 a.m. to come to Froggy. They'd come in the afternoon. So I had Kenny Chesney, Taylor Swift,
you benefited from
Luke
the time.
Bryan,
Right.
Jason Aldean. You name them. They came and sat in my studio, and I had them on the air. And then as soon as social media started coming around, I was video. I remember the day Taylor Swift was in. I've interviewed Taylor Swift a dozen times or more.
Absolutely.
But the day that she came through and hung out in studio for a couple hours was when she had only had a couple hit songs. She was just getting started.
Right.
And I remember her sitting next to me and logging into her MySpace page and commenting on my MySpace page that day. So it was 13 years ago. It's not that wasn't a million years ago.
Where did time go? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but yeah. So that, and then I'll tell you something else that also played into the success of our radio station and my show was the Poverty Net Hillbillies.
Yeah, and that's on the list of the discussions.
Okay.
Well, let's get right into it because I met both of the two. Let's back up here. So, talk to me about your relationship with them. And I know you were very entrenched with them. And then they did a video with Ben Roethlisberger. I remember it was they were on the verge of really hitting it.
Oh yeah,
and then I kind of came way in the back end of it, but I missed out. I did as a Pittsburgher on their heyday because again, it's country music, and it wasn't on my radar.
I had been here about a year, maybe not even a year. It was either late 2002, early 2003. I don't know. We were playing golf, so it had to be summer or close to summer. And I was playing, and they said, "Hey, we were in a foursome, and they said, "Hey, this guy is one of the Poverty Net. He's in a band called the Poverty Net Hillbillies." And I thought, okay, it's a local band. But so I met him, and it was Chris Higbee.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Yeah, I'll get you a song or whatever." Well, he got us the song, and Frank Bell, who was our program director at the time, listened to it. It was called "Mr. Right Now."
Oh yeah, love that song.
And we were like, I think we might play this. Let's mess around with playing with it. And so we started playing it, and then like
that Frank Bell's a good guy.
Oh
isn't he?
yeah. And then I started having them on my show.
Right.
And then next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, come out to one of our shows. We're going to be, remember the Rhythm House in Bridgeville?" This was early. This might have been 2004.
Okay.
They were like, "Come out," and I come out there, and there are women on top of women. There was a pyramid of women, and I walked in there, and
pyramid of women,
and I looked up at them on stage, and I looked at them, I said, "Something's happening here.
Yeah, something's going on.
Something's going on." And soon as other guys found out that at their show there were that many women, they were there too, squeezed in with me, man.
Oh yeah, Abby and Chris. I mean, I was going to do it right there.
And Junior and all the guys.
Yeah.
They probably all had like 1,000 groupies or whatever, but. The bottom line is they had a huge fan base.
Bottom line was they were good. Musically, they were really, really good.
They were.
And I'm a rocker, and I can tell you,
I
appreciated them.
A series of their songs. I want to say we went from Mr. Right Now to the Hillbilly State of Mind to Born to Be Free. They had I don't know. We played like One Night in New Orleans. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. We probably played 6, 7, 8 of their songs, and we just and I remember Frank coming to me going, we did research, and he was like, they're testing as high as Toby Keith, and then from that decade, 2000, 2010, Toby Keith was the man.
Oh yeah.
But we were doing shows with them at Station Square, and they were selling out like 5,000 tickets, a local act. They were unbelievable, and we were the only station in town playing them. So
how about that?
We benefited. The station benefited. My show benefited. Having them on, the friendship, they're great guys. And
how did the Ben Roethlisberger thing happen for the video? Do you remember?
Well, they got a record deal.
Yeah.
And I guess they approached him like, "Hey, how much would it cost to get you in the video?" And it was right after he'd had that motorcycle accident.
Oh,
well, they had won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then that summer, remember he fell and he had a motorcycle accident. So that would have, I don't know, it was 05, 06 maybe?
06 or 07.
Well, they won the Super Bowl in 05.
January of 06.
Okay.
So it might have been later in 06.
So summer of 06,
That's
Mr.
it.
Right Now
That's
video
it.
came out.
Wow, that long ago.
Oh, yeah. 13 years now, buddy.
Wow.
Time's flying.
Whew, we aren't kidding.
Yeah, so that was huge. We rode that all the way till they broke up, and I think
what happened there?
Oh, it's tough, man.
Music's
Having
tough.
a band.
Music's tough.
Having a band. That's why you don't see it anymore.
Creative differences. The old creative differences.
It's tough.
But they're both doing solo
They were
work,
great.
and they're both successful solo wise. But you just wish for the reunion. You just wish to see that happen.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's been a long time now. It's been over a decade since they broke up. So I don't know if there's a demand for it anymore or not. But I know that then they were great, and they're all still great. But I'm talking about there was something special going on there.
Yeah.
They were. I mean, this town rooted for them like they were the hometown band.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Steelers won the Super Bowl, and they had them out there like the official band of the Steelers. They were like performing on Heinz Field. They were great. They were so good. And I'm still friends with the guys. Chris went on his own.
Yeah.
And then the other guys started
Abby.
Yeah, they started. Well, they're now called THW.
W,
I hope they're watching this.
Yeah,
THW.
W. It is.
Abbreviations. But they're great. They're super talented.
The Hillbilly Way.
Hillbilly Way. And I think that was one of their songs when they were the Poverty Net Hillbillies. But I think Junior, it's funny thing is Junior in that band, I think he's still only like 25 or something. So I don't know. I must have been a kid when they were doing that. But yeah, we had a great time. They were great. And then I tell you, when when Gabby Barrett came in 5 years ago now, I can't believe it's been that long already.
I can't believe that either. That's incredible to me.
I thought, here's
Seems
another.
Like it was last year.
Well, she was on American Idol last year.
know,
And that's
but-
when everybody took notice. See, Gabby they were guys going out and playing the bars. Girl, Gabby's been a kid.
Right.
I mean, she turned 19 this past week, and
It's kind of the same path as Taylor Swift to some degree.
yeah, she wasn't old enough to be out playing all the bars, and everything. So she's young. She's good though. She's really good, and I'm glad that we're involved with her. And the fact that our radio station Froggy has been so involved with local music, that's been an important part, I think, to our success here as well.
Does that happen in every market or not?
No.
So you have to have a ownership group of the local station that believes in it then.
Yeah, I would say just the national, because the Froggy's owned by a radio company that's out of Pennsylvania. I mean, we have stations, and I think we have 62 stations,
Right.
but they're not like the other ones that have like 1,000 stations or whatever.
Sure.
So we are. They've let us do that. Be supportive of the home, and we got to harness that Poverty Night Hillbilly thing. I mean, we're playing the new Gabby Barrett song when no one else is playing it yet.
Right.
And then we've played so many other acts over the years. We have been here to support the music scene, and that's something, if I was to leave Froggy tomorrow and go back to Tennessee or whatever, that's something I'd be proud of.
Sure.
Is the fact that so many people took the time at their art of making songs, making really good recordings of a song they wrote, and we played it on the radio for them. Think about it. You're a musician. You had a guitar company.
Yep.
You write a song, getting it played on the radio. I don't care.
It's almost impossible.
Right, but the idea, and this is a big market. This isn't like, you know what I mean? I can't even think of a good example, but
What about that band, Something Creek?
Cross Creek Band?
No.
Rough Creek.
Rough Creek.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the. The lead singer was a great guy.
Oh yeah, Devin Johnson.
Yeah, I was on your Froggy Idol show in 2 instances where he was the co-judge.
Dude, I'm hanging out with him. Our St. Patrick's Day.
Tell him I said
Is this
hello.
going to come out before St. Patrick's
Oh yeah,
Day?
absolutely.
Our St. Patrick's Day party Saturday night at 31 Sports Bar and Grill in Bridgeville. Rough Creek performing, and they
Really?
are awesome.
I think I need to go to that.
You should come out, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're rocking, man.
They're still going. That's a good thing. I mean, that's there's a passion there. If you're a local act, and let me ask you this on a broader sense, because I was always asked this question for probably 2 decades now on the rock side. Why is it that live music is so hard to do in Pittsburgh? Locally. I mean, obviously the Poverty Neck Hillbillies were basically an anomaly. Let's face it, it's hard to draw. It's hard to get someone to pay a $5 cover charge, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
To see a local act, local live music for like 3 sets for $5. You can't get someone to come in. Is it now? Again, I don't want to beat up the public. I'm just saying, is it because we have too many distractions? Are we getting high definition TV with surround sound and things are so good at home we don't need to go out? Is it more a social thing? I just think we just don't respect live, local, organic talent like we should, and it's probably that way in every market. It's just hard for a local band to go out and they can't make a living out of it, but even to go out and pay, earn enough to pay for their gig that night.
Well, I would encourage anyone listening or viewing this to go pay a $5 cover charge and see a local band.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of great music around here that's not country. There's country. Obviously, I've been in country for 17 years here, but I've seen the Mac Millers, the Wiz Khalifas come out of here. I'm not a fan of that music, at all, but I still respect the fact that they were able to go through the ranks and make it to the big time, And the Poverty Neck Hillbillies were a phenomenon here.
They were just about there.
Oh, they were almost there. They were getting their videos on CMT and the other channels and starting to get radio play, and then it imploded. But they were something that is rare. Usually you have to make it big nationally, and then everyone in your hometown will want to see you. People wanted to see them in their hometown before.
Right.
It was as if us playing it on Froggy every 3 hours, they thought they were being played all around the country.
Understood.
But they weren't yet.
But were you a little surprised that the other station in town did not pick up on the fact that they were getting so much push?
That helped us huge.
It did. It did. And they just never jumped on the bandwagon.
And the people over there were nice people. It wasn't
No.
It was
It's
because
not an animosity thing. I'm just curious. Did you ever wonder why they just didn't play it? They just didn't grab onto it.
Here's my feeling on it. I could be wrong. I think they were corporately owned out of like New York City at the time, and they weren't going to play a local band. No matter, you could call them and say, "Hey, these guys they're selling 5,000 tickets at shows," and
for 5,000 tickets for a local band's incredible. There are national acts that come to this town of all genres.
Yeah.
That could be selling anywhere between 300 and 1,200, and that's a good night.
I was shocked they didn't jump on it. I was shocked.
That's what I thought.
Because I was there in the middle of all of it, watching all these people that were country music fans in Pittsburgh. And me and Froggy, we were the only ones there. Wow. Nobody else showed up.
That's amazing.
And they, you know what? And it didn't matter. It was
amazing to me.
Huge.
Let me ask you this. How about this for a change between 2002 and 2019? What about the trend, it seems to me anyways, that more and more country acts are not crossing over, but there's a lot of hip-hop and pop now blended into this country music. Am I just imagining that, or is that actually reality?
I would say that, you know, like our slogan on Froggy's real country variety, and it really is variety now. We got rock acts like Eric Church,
Right.
Brantley Gilbert.
Right.
And then you got like almost like, you know, your I can't think of the right word for it, like your hippie act like Zach Brown, like your Woodstock, you know.
So Zach Brown's technically country then?
Oh,
I mean, like, I really don't know what the...
he's technically,
I don't,
ladies and gentlemen, technically country. Zach Brown Band.
well, I mean, I don't know.
Come on, man. I like my chicken fried.
I
cold
like
beer.
the guy. I can't say he's in my playlist, but I'm saying I respect it. It is,
Love Zach Brown.
you know, and Michael
He's a
Cowden, if
different
you're
style.
listening, this is the guy over here, along with Donnie Fast. He got those tickets for you a couple years ago, right down in the pit there. You know,
all
pal,
right.
just letting you know.
He likes Zach Brown?
He wanted to take his at that time I think it was his fiance. He really wanted to make an impression. It was sold out everywhere, and let's just say that through the generosity of you and through other kind people that you made that young lady
That's
very,
awesome.
very happy that night.
That's
So,
awesome.
But no, I'm aware of them. I just hey, if it's guitar based, I can listen to it. I can listen to Mel Tillis. I can if it's an old country star standing up there with a Martin acoustic just playing. If it's guitar based, I like it. Generally, I like it.
Well, do you like Eric Church?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
He's
that's
amazing.
got a real rock flavor to it.
You know
though.
who I like that has a rock flavor, and there's always haters though. It doesn't matter what it is. One of my favorites is Jason Aldean.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite guy right now.
He is blazing. Listen, when he came to Pittsburgh, nobody knew who he was yet. I had him in my studio. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. Hicktown was going to #1.
Okay.
And then we had him in concert down at Saddle Ridge and Station Square,
Yeah.
and it was packed.
Yeah, I was there.
So when I say that no one knew who he was,
Yeah, I
he
saw
was
that show.
early. It was like one of his first songs. I think that was his first single. Hicktown. In a Hicktown.
Oh, yeah.
And do you remember that night?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just blazing the whole time.
Well, so
You're like, this is country? I love it.
go back 3 years ago, and when I took photos for Froggy, and remember that show? It was a stadium show. No, it wasn't a stadium show. It
It was at KeyBank or Burgettstown.
Pavilion. Yeah, it's in Burgettstown. But man, it was everything I was hoping for and more. It was powerful. It was a rock show to me.
You know, he hasn't changed a bit, and I think it's actually
He's been through some stuff though.
He has, but it's a compliment. Like his show, when he came out in 2007 or whatever that was, when we had him
Yeah.
in Saturday, maybe 08, it was like fire and electric
Yeah, it's the
guitars.
same
It's
thing.
the same thing now.
It's like Country Kiss.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, I've always thought about that way about Garth Brooks as well too. I mean, and Garth Brooks had always thrown a big nod to Kiss, and even did some guest work with Kiss on a couple tribute CDs.
oh yeah,
and all
he's a
this.
huge fan.
But that's the stage that Garth would go out with would always be way over the top, and he always said as a kid that's what he wanted to do. Whether the genre was different, it was country as opposed to rock, but he loved the fire and explosion, the lights and the smoke and all that stuff. So
to me, Garth, when I got into country music, I always thought, Garth's not a supermodel. He's just in a lot of ways, he's an average guy.
average guy,
and it's just like, but when he gets on stage, he's just badass.
lightning, man. It's like bottled lightning.
He makes you believe every song he's singing is like the greatest song that was ever, and he sings it like this is the greatest song ever. And I'm thinking, okay song, but
Yeah, but he can sell it though.
he does.
He can sell
and you
it.
leave and you're like, what a great show.
Yeah.
I got to see him again. I want to. He's always been that way, and it's almost like sometimes energy is infectious. You know what I mean? Like,
There's no question. I mean, you can take that whole concept back to probably one of the biggest acts of all time in the history of music with the Rolling Stones. I mean, Mick Jagger was really not a great singer. Odd-looking individual. but there was a charisma on stage of energy that was nothing. The Beatles weren't that energetic. You know what I mean? Like Jagger was different. It was that he could sell it.
Yeah.
You really not you were buying it. You really didn't understand what you were buying, but you were buying it. But there was just that intangible thing. And I think that Garth Brooks on the country end, whether the song is really strong or not, whether he's really he's model-esque looking or he's not.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
It didn't really matter. It was the persona and the energy he brought to that stage show. Really, I mean and I think that goes. I mean, the biggest joke in rock and roll is you really don't have to be that great if you can play 3 chords proficiently and you play it really loud and you can act like you've been there before, you're gonna make it. You see, and I think that kind of holds true a lot with music, regardless of the genre. You got to act like you've been there before.
We do still have traditional acts, in the format, people that are still doing it the way, we got Chris Stapleton now.
Yeah.
He's like old school, even though I think he's only in his late 30s, but he's, he's like, and
there's a niche market for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a market for it.
There's variety. You get a little bit of everything. And I'll stand up for a band. Florida Georgia Line has probably have the most haters of all.
Really? See, I don't follow all that social media stuff in regards to that.
People pound them saying they're not country.
Are they the Nickelback of country?
In a way, but they're not.
I still don't know why Nickelback's hated so bad. I don't get it.
Well, I know. You know what? I wouldn't say they're the Nickelback because I don't think Nickelback has ever achieved the success that Florida Georgia Line has. Florida Georgia Line. If you really when they were here 2 years ago, they didn't come last year. When they were here in 2017, I went there and I sat, and I wanted to watch their whole show, and I sat through the whole thing, and they did, may we all, and they did all these songs, and I was like, that's country. They might, the one guy, there's Tyler and Brian. The one guy's tall, and he's like, a white Snoop Dogg. He's got like the hat and the weird. And I get their style's not country. They look like they're not country.
But their output is.
It is. The lyrics are country. Their the sound, the guy's voice is so country. I enjoy their songs. I mean, maybe not all of them, but a lot of their hit songs have been great songs. And that's what you can say what you want about any act, but if they don't put out great music, it's probably is. Now, there's every now and then some dumb song becomes like a big hit song.
One hit wonder.
Like I'm Too Sexy or something.
I remember
that. But generally, if a band really makes it, it's because they're putting out great music.
Yeah, and I think that holds true for any genre. I think it's the case, and you have to do it over and over again to hold an audience. And that's the thing, too, where, Paul Stanley told me one time, which I've heard him repeat in many interviews, but he said it to me personally in a conversation. He said, "Look," he said, "we're the easiest band in the world to kick. We play rock and roll, which is already a rebellious thing. We wear makeup and spandex, and we're middle-aged guys and tall heels. There's no other band that's out there that you could kick more than us." Right?
Yeah, right.
And he goes, "But I'll go home tonight, to my 14,000 square foot home that Bad Reviews built." and you couldn't argue with that, right? You couldn't argue with that. I mean, in the end, it's. I think people vote with their wallet.
Yeah,
I think people vote with their wallet, and there's always going to be critics of whether it's country music, rock and roll, jazz, doesn't matter, hip hop, that are going to feel that their opinion is worth more than others.
It's like Taylor Swift. I mean, she has a lot of haters. When you make it to the top, you're going to have a lot of haters. Like if you look at,
there's a lot of jealousy.
Like I have a decent, for locally, I have a decent social media following, and
it's real.
And I don't have a lot of haters because I'm only this big. When you make it to the top, you're gonna have a lot of haters.
Yeah, I was just listening to Rogan talk about his podcast when he put it on YouTube. Like the first 2 weeks, he started reading the comments. There was tens of thousands of comments because he's getting millions of views per show.
Yeah,
he said he had to stop. He goes because they're it's so, the vitriol is so negative,
right?
And it's not reality.
It almost makes you wonder. Like here we are sitting here. I'm a guy who's been on the radio in Pittsburgh for 17 years. Imagine I got hired to host the Tonight Show or something, just something silly. You're just inviting. I mean, it's like, yeah, I want to achieve greatness, but that is scary, the amount of hatred that will follow.
Well, he said that in this interview, I don't look at it anymore. I can't, for my own psyche, I can't look at it because there's probably 10,000 negative comments, and I want to try to pick one out and address that one.
Yeah.
But I know there's 9,999
You're
right
overwhelmed.
behind it. Yeah, it's over. It's
They just pile on. It's the it's like when you're in a crowd. Like, here's something I used to do when I was in like I'll be in the Pittsburgh St. Patrick's Day parade this weekend, and I always bring my bullhorn.
Is it green?
It is not green. Here's why I do it. Because there's a crowd. There's a crowd there, and when people are in a crowd, they feel like they can do anything. And that's what happens on the internet.
It's a mob mentality.
It's a mob mentality. They'll go, "Hey, Danger, you suck!" And here I am riding through the parade. He thinks he got me. Then I get my bullhorn, and I go, "You in the orange shirt. You in the orange shirt. No, you suck." And then he's like, "Oh, no. Doggone it, he got me with the bullhorn."
That's awesome.
Yeah, So
That's
in other
awesome.
words, when you get a lot of times, we all look through the comments, right? Like I'm not a huge celebrity, so they're not writing me that much, but I look through other stuff, and when someone does call somebody out, they'll usually like delete the post or delete their page, because when you turn that spotlight on them, it ain't so cool all of a sudden.
No, and it's there seems to be like it's almost like sport. Attacking someone online is crazy. What I love about the internet, and
I'm sorry, you just reminded me of something. I
Go ahead.
just interviewed. This is a funny interview for a country music broadcaster.
okay,
There's a girl named Jessie Chris that's a new country singer, and she has a duet with Danny Wood of New Kids on the Block, and the song's about bullying. And I just talked to him last week, and this reminded me. He was saying he's a new kid on the block. You think people are picking on him? People have been picking on him
all day long, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year,
Right? I mean, I picked
for
on
decades,
him. Yeah.
for decades, for decades.
Right? But they're like you just said. He's got a mansion built on people picking on him.
Yeah, it's
but
the house of bad reviews built.
That's right. But he said, he goes, "Look, I don't even read the comments. I post, I will not look at the comments." And I said, I don't know who said this. I heard someone say it, and it's true. If there's a devil, it's the comments. That's the devil. When you see a post on the internet, and the devil is everything below it.
I get it, and it's And it doesn't matter the form. It could be Facebook, Instagram. It could be Twitter. I mean, I don't do much Twitter at all. I have an account, but I rarely use it. Thought of closing it down. I don't know how well it works for
Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, Twitter's slowed down. I think the only one using it's our president.
He must spend a heck of a lot of time in the bathroom. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like Twitter. I do like Twitter, but I mean Instagram.
You have to be concise in Twitter, right? I mean, you got to get your point across 140 characters. Is that still how it is?
Every now and then, like I'll wake up early on a week or a weekend morning or something, and I'll just like turn on SportsCenter and just start tweeting like 15 tweets in a row just for the hell of it. I don't know if you might even see it. I'm just like Twitter's good for that. He's like, I ate toast today. Just put it out there. You wouldn't do that on Instagram. Put a picture of your toast.
Yeah, right. Put your picture on there, right? Yeah.
But Twitter, you can just send off random stuff, and the whole thing about mean tweeting too. Oh my God, it's just horrid. It's one of the most vile places out there, but it's social media is great too, and I mean Instagram and Facebook. What amazes me is people that write mean stuff on Facebook when their real name and their picture's there. It's like, what are you thinking?
So the internet has obviously leveled the playing field for everybody.
Yeah,
A superstar, in theory, in a particular thread, has no more weight than Joe Smith. Living in Podunk, Wisconsin.
yeah.
So in one regard, I think from a social experiment, it's really helped level the playing field. It has brought celebrities and people of notoriety closer to their quote-unquote fans.
Yeah.
I get that. And people will say, well, it's great because it's leveled the playing field of importance for, like, the average citizen. That's true. But I will tell you, there are still a small select group of people out there that probably don't deserve a voice. I'm sorry, but the things I read, I'm just, you've got to be kidding me. But it gives them a powerful voice. Yes, it's one comment and probably 10,000 on a post, but they're still able to express their feelings.
I think that here's what I think. I mean, this is a country that's based on like freedom of speech, and social media is an outlet for everyone. Here's where I think there needs to be more policing, though. And I think there will And there may already be. I think
Twitter's starting to get a lot of heat because they're doing it, but
I think there needs to be like some laws about like you can say anything you want, but if you're slandering someone or
but the interpretation. I mean, how do you determine what's slander, what's not, and then of course the attorneys.
Because if you could be held accountable, let me just tell you right now, you can be held accountable for what you write on social media. You should be careful. One day, everyone out there, your great grandkids are gonna be looking on Twitter, going, "Man, my grandpa was a real jerk. He was a jago."
Oh, I know that's going to happen to me.
Might be my grandkids.
It might be my kid looking at my stuff. What are you talking about? From like 5-7 years ago.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's and I had to listen, man. I had to learn, and I have no problem sharing this. Our friendship has been around for as long as you've been in Pittsburgh, probably 15 of those 17 years.
Yep.
And every once in a while, when social media would rear its head, before I was a realtor and I was still running the guitar business, we had lunches, and you'd look at me and you go, really going out on a limb on that social media there, aren't you? And you would kind of casually kind of remind me to kind of walk it back and moderate, and I've learned from that. It wasn't just you bringing it to my attention.
Yeah.
It was you realize, but the hard part about it is being in the public like you are on two fronts, and like I am what I do, and potentially on this, is that just because now you've got a recognizable brand to some degree in a region, it doesn't mean that your opinion or your thoughts are any less important. And where do you moderate, and where do you have that? Where is that outlet? Do you see what I mean? It's a hard one for me. It's a very hard one for me.
Yeah. I think that people have made careers off pissing people off. Don't get me wrong. If you want to just write stuff on the internet and piss people off,
that doesn't appeal to me.
It can work. It usually doesn't. It can work. I mean, like Eminem, the rapper. I mean, it was just, he would make a song and he was just trying to piss everyone off he could.
There was a sports writer in Pittsburgh who was phenomenal for many years, Bob Smizik. He made a habit of just wanting to piss off every Steeler, every Pirate, every Penguin fan, and he made a career out of it, and he was good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something to that. When I first started in radio, I would goof around to that a little bit, and I it's just too much negative energy, man.
It is, and that's what I found too.
It's kind of against my natural
vice principles.
Yeah, I like to. I do like to be nice to people. So if someone was trying to hire me onto a rock station where I had to be mean, that's not me.
Yeah.
Some people are good at being mean. I'm not.
So speaking of that, true story here. You bring me in for the very first Froggy Idol the very first one that I had the opportunity to judge.
Oh yeah, I know where you're going with this.
And
you insulted everyone.
Yeah, so I
was shocked and appalled.
So no, you weren't. You were laughing your rear end off. So basically, to back up, what it was the Froggy Idol was based on the American Idol.
Yeah, right.
And people would call into your show, and they want to sing, and then you'd have guest judges. And that's a little more fair than you judging, right? Obviously,
right? Yeah, because I didn't want to put myself. Yeah,
you're too kind, anyways. So the way it was set up behind the scenes was, you wanted us to be honest and kind to a degree, but you were okay with one of us being the bad guy, one of us being the good guy. Well, every time I came in, whoever I was paired with, I ended up being the bad guy.
I think
not that I asked for it or anything, but
didn't you tell somebody one time that you sawed your ears off during their song?
Yeah, I might have. Or
you wanted to saw your ears off.
I asked the one lady what she did for a living. She said she was a nurse. I said, you better keep that job.
Were you the one that got accosted by one of the singers somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yes, it was funny because what was really crazy was that was right before social media, where I had my own forum at boogiestreet.com, my website. I had a forum there.
Okay, yeah, that was like the thing at the bottom of a website.
Yeah, well, forums were like pre-Facebook.
It was a chat room.
Yeah, and it really helped me sell guitars. I liked it. This guy sought me out, figured it out, which I had no local customers because I was an interstate shipper only. We didn't have a walk-in business down there. Remember, it was all.
That's right.
We shipped everything. We were basically hiding. We were basically hiding over there.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
No local business. So this guy sought me out, and I get an email that says new register on the boogie board. So and so's his name, and he's from like Irwin.
You're like, someone
that's cool.
Pittsburgh area.
First post, he blisters me. My dad's been a singer for 35 years and has sung all over Western Pennsylvania and blah, 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 and all I ever dreamed was being a singer, and then you're going to have the nerve to tell me that I don't have my father's pipes and I don't know how to sing these songs, and who are you, and blah, 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 on and on and on. And I'm like, wow. But it opened my eyes.
Yeah.
Like, I really insulted this guy, and I was just having fun on the show.
Yeah, you got
the interpretation of someone. I mean, and I get it to a certain degree. You're really, as a guy, you're putting your stones out on the line when you call in and you're going to sing on the radio. I couldn't do it.
Well, if you're going to mess with people, you got to be
willing to take it.
Yeah.
So I wrote the guy back and apologized. He couldn't have been any nicer. He apologized for the whole thing. It worked out good. The guy. I probably could have a beer with the guy if I saw him. But the point is, it was really an eye-opener for me. I got to go in a little more even-handed next time.
Saying that your singing made me want to saw my ears off is not a compliment.
I think I said I was trying to muffle my ears with the ink pens on the table or something like that. It was pretty bad.
Right. There were people that competed on that show that.
They were good. There were some really good ones.
Bryn Marie was on she made it to the finale of it. She went on to Nashville, and I don't know if you follow her at all. She's married a boxer now.
Yeah,
She's been on like House Hunters and a couple other shows.
Crazy.
And then
I used to try to. Girls used to call me. I swear, it's the craziest thing. I don't know if I've ever told you this. So you would announce like, hey, Friday we're gonna have so and so guest on, and so or whatever date we were doing it.
Yeah.
And Eric McKenna, Boogie Street Guitar is gonna be on. They would seek me out and say, hey, my name is Willow, and I'm calling from Greensburg, and I want to call Friday. Would you give me a good rating? I'm like, who are you?
Oh, the fix was in.
They tried to put the fix
That's
in.
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm like, I'm a married man.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah, that was good stuff, though. I had a lot of
Was
fun
it really
on that
Willow
show.
from Greensburg?
It was Willow from Greensburg.
Oh,
It was
boy.
Willow from Greensburg.
I'm going to look her up in a second. But it's been 10 years now. But
it was Willow from Greensburg.
that's a good time. Timothy Earl, who's still a good friend of mine,
Yeah.
he was on the Froggy
I
Idol
didn't
way
know that.
back, like 04, 05.
Wow.
Yeah, there were other people too. There's people that have that were on that went on. They're in Nashville now, chasing that neon rainbow.
The neon rainbow.
I tell you what, if I'm from Tennessee, but if I was to move to Nashville right now, and I spent 17 years here, I would have more friends in Tennessee from Pittsburgh
Probably.
than I do from Tennessee. When I go down for the Country Music Awards, there are so many people. Vanessa Campagna, Sarah Morant,
pipes.
Sydney Hutchko, Cassandra Sotos. I'm just naming beautiful women right now, but I mean, I could keep but Gabby Barrett. I mean, but there's so many people that are down there doing it in the business. And I named all women, but there's people like Sean Lacey. And when I was just down there.
Oh, my gosh. I want him on this show.
I just went
I reached out to him. I want him on this show.
I was in Nashville a couple of months ago for the Country Music Awards, and someone said, and Sean Lacey worked at Froggy. He's phenomenal. Dude's down there making country music. There are so many people.
Sean and Hobby initially,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Hobby finally got tired of it.
He became a barber.
He got a new hobby. But both of them were great. I could tell you how I introduced them, too. But they
Do tell.
Well, let me just say that. I went down there, and someone said, hey, Sean Lacey's playing at a bar that's not downtown. It's a little ways out. And I said, do you want to go? I was like, I'm in. So after we got through with our broadcast, I hopped in a car, shuttled us out to where he was.
Very cool.
And we walk in there, and he's on stage, and you should see his face. Here are all these. He's from Pittsburgh.
Right.
He's been living down there 10 years.
Yep.
Trying
to break.
All these Pittsburgh people walk in and just like, hey, he's like, yeah, it's cool. You know what I mean? I would like to think one day if I moved down somewhere that's never going to happen, that 10 people from your town walk in.
Well, I was told many years ago the hottest guitar players in the world are pumping gas in Nashville.
Yeah, right. They are.
They're playing at night.
He's not pumping gas that I know of.
No, he's yeah.
But you have to do things to pay the bills while you're chasing that dream down there.
Yeah.
It's a hard. And to answer your question, if you remember this, I loved music. I was a music major in college. And
you
when
acquired a couple guitars off me in the very beginning.
And
remember?
I would go do songwriter nights at the Bloomfield Bridge Tavern.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say they loved me down there. They loved that I brought big musicians with me. I would come in there. This was a little bar that 10 people were sitting in. They actually closed it down last year, the Bloomfield Bridge Tavern.
Yeah.
I brought the Poverty Neck Hillbillies in there with me.
That's incredible.
And nobody was there. And we just got on stage and sang stupid songs. I had a song I would get up there and sing and drink beer, and I'd be like, I like dirty pirate hookers with one eye.
I remember that song. Oh, my.
I think me and Sean and Hobby and Junior
my.
from Power Deck Giveaways did like a 30-minute version of that one night. It was just the best time ever. But one night I took Sean Lacey down there.
Okay.
And Hobby got up and sang.
Is that how they connected?
That is, they
Really?
never admit that, but I introduced them.
Wow.
Somehow I connected them because I made Sean go.
So I have a very cool video. Again, it was before YouTube, and I have it on my hard drive. I put it on Facebook, and when I do, it goes crazy. It gets shared by everybody. They came into my Boogie Street offices, and Sean wanted to buy an acoustic. They were moving to Nashville.
Yeah.
And he goes, I need to get an acoustic. And I'm like, dude, here. We gave him a couple, and they were like, such good people, too. You know? And I said, would you mind playing a couple of songs? Because they ended up playing like 12 songs in my office for like 15 people.
Yeah, they're good.
And I videoed the whole thing, but that one song, Kiss My Ass.
Yeah.
I love that song. I mean, and you wonder, like, you hear such good music out of them, which I'm sure is a ton of acts in Nashville that have really good stuff. It's that intangible. Like, how is it luck, Jeremy? Is it knowing the right person? Is it's because that song,
you just nailed it.
That could be top 40.
But you also have to have great music. So there's 3: luck, knowing the right person, and having great music. But there's a saying in Nashville: they don't want great singers; they want great acts.
So the stage presence is everything.
I mean, we've talked about it already in this interview. People that had something about them that was different. Like you said, Mick Jagger wasn't even a good singer. How many? If we thought of the greatest performers of all time, how
he's
many
not
of
in there?
How many of them were
performers? He's in there, but vocally he's not. I mean,
how many of the greatest performers of all time are great vocalists? Very few.
Oh, that's a great question. And that's so again, different genre. I had this conversation with a buddy of mine the other night over a cocktail, and yeah, we go back and listen to all the great rock singers, hard rock. So you have Roger Daltrey, you have Mick Jagger, you have Ozzy Osbourne,
Elvis.
Elvis. But none of them would be considered to be really great vocalists. Paul Rodgers of Bad Company had this most soulful, most beautiful voice of all that, but he wasn't the biggest act. So you're right. It's about the entertainment value once they hit the stage. Am I right?
And there's some people that are, in fact, also great vocalists. There are those. There's the Whitney Houstons or the Carrie Underwoods.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that's not the case, when it comes to being a great act. And it's been neat, because sometimes you hear someone sing and you're like, oh, they're a freaking world-class singer. But it's still getting to where you're going to be an act that everyone wants to follow. I mean,
you have to be exciting in concert, don't you think?
Yeah, an entertainer.
An entertainer.
That's where Taylor Swift wins. I took my first grade daughter last summer when Taylor Swift was at Heinz Field. Blown away. And Taylor's 29 now, but she still has, when you go to a Taylor Swift concert, there's 50,000 people leaving Heinz Field and then holding the little kid's hand walking across the bridge at like 11 o'clock at night, like Roberto Clemente Bridge.
Right.
That's something you don't ever see. You know what I mean? They're like pushing strollers across and it's neat. It was a good experience, but it's because she's a great entertainer.
Yeah, I mean, it was, to deviate again, so on that same vein, what I've always loved about rock and roll was a good show. Even if bands weren't that great musically, I mean, all the hard rock stuff I listened to, Kiss, whatever it was all about the concert. So Kiss is out there on their farewell tour. To deviate for a second, have you caught any of this? Or did you hear it in the news?
When was the farewell tour?
Did
they only have one?
This is the latest farewell tour. I'm hoping, for the love of God and all that's sacred, this is the last tour.
Because I went to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Third farewell tour.
Yeah, the hell freezes over.
It was like it was at Mellon Arena in like 2003, and they were like, this is our 4th farewell tour.
There is a point to my discussion here.
All right.
So they're out right now, and I can't put it any simpler than this. They're lip syncing, and they're playing the backing tracks as well.
Okay.
So there's a combination of maybe some hot mics.
And that burns your rear.
Burns my ass.
Yeah.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy about it at all. And
I think I saw you post about that.
My ship has sailed with the band. I stopped working with Paul in 2014. But the point is, to me, I'm asking you a question, what your thoughts are on it. To me, it's disingenuous, regardless of ticket prices, which for this tour is just off the rails. Cheapest price is $200 for the cheapest seat in the end of the month down here at the PPG arena.
Is Kiss coming this month?
Yeah. The issue is, though, to me, is it's disingenuous, but apparently people don't care, and they vote with their wallet. So I guess, should I care if no one else gives a shit? I mean, should I care? I'm not going because my mantra is, it's fake.
Yeah.
I'm not going. I'm not going to go knowing that I'm listening to a backing track. The show, which I've seen probably 50 to 70 times, is cool. I've seen it. But sing. And what's your thoughts on that as an artist? I mean, if you get to the point where you can't do it anymore, do you stop?
Yeah, I know that it's funny because I see that there's people that are critical. There's always critics, but like Luke Bryan's a huge act. The last 10 years, I saw that Jason Aldean was named we're going to be at the ACMs.
Love that guy.
He's named the artist of the decade.
Love that guy.
Right there with him could be Luke Bryan. I mean, he is. I honestly, you could have like flipped a coin on both of them. If I went to a Luke Bryan show and all of his songs were lip synced, yeah, I wouldn't think it was
and
worth it.
It didn't sync right. You saw mistakes up there. You saw,
Yeah.
it wasn't even a real professional fake job.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like it at all. I mean, because you're going to see them. I get it. You want to see them, and I know that like when these artists get really older.
Well, yeah, Kiss is in their set. I mean, Kiss is almost 70.
I mean, I would say this. Like, I went to see the Eagles, like I said, on their like third or
Probably
fourth.
wasn't faked.
Okay, but if let's say you were to tell me now, hey, just so you know now, that was all lip synced. I had no idea. If I can tell, I'm pissed.
Yeah, and that's the disingenuous part. Like to me, like why not come at the beginning of the tour and say, hey, we're going out for one last time. It's your last opportunity to see us. And by the way,
we're lip syncing every song.
There's probably a better way of saying that. But so hear me out. Like something like, listen, because of where we are in our life right now, we want to give you the best show. We're going to incorporate technology with our live performance.
They'll never say that.
Well,
any band.
So why not though? Like I have a very good friend of mine online. I've never been in the same room with him, but I plan to. He was a DJ for a hard rock station in L.A. in the 80s called KNAC. I think it's KNAC. And it was very controversial. They were doing not online, but they were pushing the FCC regulations every chance they got. And the guy's name, his handle online was Long Paul. His name was Paul Long, but it was Long Paul was his name.
Yeah. You know, he just reminded me when I was on the alternative rock station in the 90s.
Yeah.
I had a little thing that would play between the songs that would go, Danger Man. This is going to get right to what you're saying.
Danger Man.
There we go. Like, a song's ending. This thing would come, Danger Man. He's not fat. He's just big bone. And then the next song. Okay,
yeah, that goes right to it.
So they called him Long Paul.
No, but anyways, he basically, I was kind of lamenting to him. I'm like, can you effing believe this? And this is, because, I mean, my whole life is wrapped up with this band to some degree. And he goes, basically said, what the hell is wrong with you? He's like, every band's been some kind of pre-recorded thing for like the past 15 years. I'm like, there's no way. He goes, listen to me. Some need more help than others.
Yeah.
But every live show has elements of piped-in music. And I sat back and listened to that, and he was just laughing. Like, it was like, what are you upset about? And maybe I've moderated my stance. I'm still not going. I won't spend the money on something that I know is not real. Live to me is supposed to be real.
You want to have your great impression of when they were really out there.
I haven't. I saw them not at their best, but I saw them years ago when they were actually doing it.
Yeah.
I don't need to see this now. This is not something I want to see. I love that guy right there. His tech, Franz Stuber, great guy. Hoping to have him down here for a podcast and eventually. But the point is, I love a lot of their staff and their mechanism in place. High quality people.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing and what I would probably insist on paying on, because I don't like the freebie stuff. It's just live to me means you're doing it. Yeah. I'd rather hear you croak into the microphone than have a backing track fake it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Am I missing?
No, I agree. It's like when someone's got like a cold or something. Like Garth Brooks last time he was in Pittsburgh, he did the 6 shows like in 3 nights, which was crazy.
Yeah.
So towards the end of it, his voice was out, but he sang. You could tell there was no voice. There was no lip syncing going because the last few shows, people were like, "Oh, he had no voice left."
Don't you think it's just again? If I'm wrong, call me out on it. But I mean, my goodness, ticket prices are crazy high, and that's because there's no money anymore honestly in selling your music.
Right.
With downloadings and theft and file sharing. There's no money in it.
Yeah, and I'll throw this out there right now. Anybody watching this, you want to be the next billionaire, invent some form of music that can be sold like on a CD, like, something that you can hold that plays music. Invent that.
Well,
invent that.
I think it was done by Neil Young a couple years ago. Pono, P-O-N-O. Look that up. P-O-N-O. Neil Young. He tried it. Failed.
Okay, well, we're right. It's something that doesn't fail.
That's a prerequisite.
Well, you know what's coming back? Because, see,
hysterical,
musicians need downloads. They don't make any money off them.
Right,
right. And when CDs started dying, and they've pretty much died now. They've pretty much died. Like in the last 2 or 3 years, they've pretty much died. It was a slow death. They hung on, baby, because those artists wanted to put that CD out because they get like 10, 12, 14 bucks off a copy.
No question.
You download them for 99 cents off iTunes, and all they get is a penny? You know how many they have to sell to get – they have to sell 100 of them to get $1. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and these companies like Spotify and these not file sharing, but these these clearinghouses that you subscribe to, and you can, for $10 a month, you can listen to as much as you want. The artist is not making anything. There's just nothing there, man.
Actually, you know what? I can't believe this, but I was in, like, I don't know if it was Target or Walmart the other day or Best Buy. They got all the vinyls out there.
Yeah, it's coming back, right?
Oh, it's been coming back, but it's like the artists need something they can give you. That's how they make money.
So you're good. Well, you're probably.
I'm thinking about getting one.
But you're probably 7 or 8 years younger than me. But there was something. Again, I love that word, organic.
I was born in '73.
I was born in '66. All right, so there you go.
There you go. You nailed it.
So the point was, I would love as a kid to go to the record store. I mean, it was organic in that it was real. I'd go in there and, these 12 by 12, like forget the record. It was the cover that I loved to read, and I wanted.
It was a piece. It was a collectible,
and everything that I wanted, I could touch it and feel it. I could smell it. It was
right.
It was a real tangible thing, and all the bands I loved, all the stuff that my parents hated, of course. You'd open up these gatefold covers, so you didn't just get you just didn't get 2 sides. You got 8 sides of some of them.
The 80s, especially. I mean, listen, I was a little bitty kid in the 70s,
sure.
But the 80s, I mean, that was all about
there was albums. Yeah,
albums.
Oh, yeah. There was something to that. I used to
90s
carry mine
cassettes.
to school. The cassettes were okay, but the cassettes were tough. You couldn't read the liner notes. They were so small.
Yeah.
An album was it was part of the experience. And, I don't have very musical children, but I always said to myself, if my kids really dug music and they would go to iTunes and download, there's a part of the musical experience that's lost today. It's not there. Buying the album for the $6.99 or $10.99 and bringing it home and reading it, holding it, and looking at the liner notes and looking at the photos on the inside, that gave you an insight to what you were about to listen to. That's gone. That's gone.
I don't know how soon it could come back because we are all from age 70.
It's now an appendage.
Yeah. This is where we get stuff now. Everything. And as long as we're getting our music here, the music industry is suffering. Period.
Somebody's making money.
Touring is where they make the money.
So do you see it in country too then? Because obviously in rock that's what happened. I mean, you had your big acts like all your big acts there's no one really left. The dinosaur acts, Aerosmith, Kiss.
He went country, Steven Tyler.
They saw the writing on the wall.
I had him on my show a couple years ago.
That's so cool.
He put out a country album.
That's so cool. How did it sell though?
I don't know how it sold. I know that it didn't work out with radio play, but he was in his late. Steven Tyler. This was like 2 years ago.
Oh, he's a cool guy.
It was 2017, I think. Mm-hmm. He walks into the studio. He talked to me on the air for like 20, 30 minutes. I have it's on YouTube.
He's a genuine guy.
Oh, he was super. He was so nice. He took his hat off, put it on me. He was hugging on me, made fun of my camera guy, Mitch. But in a good way, you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And it was just a phenomenal talent. And this guy, I think at the time, he had his shirt undone with chest hair coming out of it.
Of course.
He had 3 women in their early 20s with him.
Wow.
He claimed they were on his staff in some way.
It's Steven Tyler, right?
One was his girlfriend, the other 2, I don't know what they were.
He's probably got girlfriends younger than his daughter. Right?
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, it's But again, these bands have to go out and tour and make money. The tours.
That's where the money is.
I had always read as a kid, like bands would make an album, and the idea was to go platinum, double platinum, and then they would tour to support the album.
Because they were selling CDs or albums for $12, $14, $15, $16, $17.
Yeah.
So the money was there.
It's just
now that's gone away. That big pile of money's gone away. So now the money is over here, the touring.
With merchandise, and that's why you're seeing the $100 T-shirts now. These concerts.
Have you bought a $100 shirt?
I have not. I have seen them. $100
T-shirt.
I haven't bought it. You'll laugh.
Have you bought a $13 beer?
I have. I bought a $20 beer actually.
Did you
yeah,
really?
It did. Not happy about
Wow.
it. Not proud of that.
Those
fact.
are good. You got to enjoy those.
You drink them slow.
you're like, what is this, Natty Light?
You drink them slow. But the last time I bought a concert T-shirt had to have been like the early '80s or something. When it was like $35. But even then, your $7 T-shirt was $35. To me, it isn't. It's capitalism, so there's no gouging. I mean, the market's going to bear what people are willing to pay. Bands like Kiss and Aerosmith, they're still around because there's people out there that still dig that stuff, and they'll pay it no matter what the price is.
Well, they can
There's
tour,
probably a
and that's
ceiling, but they're generally speaking.
Well, the bands you just named, they're not trying to get their songs on the radio or anything anymore.
No.
They're not even really trying to sell music. They're
touring
just selling
makes
tickets.
the money,
Yeah,
and everything gets bought there,
right.
And that's where and I'm okay with all that. But in the end, what does that say for the ability for a new act to come up and make?
Well,
money?
that's where the hard part is. Bands like that, first of all, they already made tons of money, and they have all these songs. So if they go on tour, people will still go see them. A new act out there that's getting their guitars and making a song, how do they make money?
Where do they monetize it?
Right.
I mean, usually if a band has a catchy song and they can sell 1 million downloads, that's only $1 million. And if they have to put a tour together, the record company's taking all that money, and they're probably going to make those folks sign a contract where I think they're called 360 deals. You familiar with that?
I am.
So explain that to me, because I don't think I really understand the concept of that.
I would have to have someone in here from the record label to give
Just
you the
give me
exacts.
general-
But
general.
the way I understand it is this. Back in the old days, I would sign you, Eric McKenna, to my Jeremy Mulder label.
And I'd make you a lot of money.
Danger Records.
Danger Boy Records.
And Danger Boy Records. And I would get half of every, or more. I mean, who knows? Man, I bet if we could go back to, Michael Jackson, that's a random throw out there. But just somebody back in the day, these deals
Ted
might
Nugent got ripped off.
They could be even more. Let's just say it's 50% for the hell of it. There's probably artists laughing
Sure,
hearing that number.
sure.
I get 50% of all the records you sell. Okay. So back then they were $14, $15 CDs or albums or cassettes or whatever, mini discs, whatever.
Mini disc. I had one of those. I had a mini disc player for a short period of time.
Yeah, when I was a baby, I remember my dad having what's the thing you would slide in? The
8-track.
H-track.
I loved 8-tracks.
Those were 70s. But anyway, so I get half that. That was all the deal was. Then you go out and tour and that's all yours. That's not the way it is anymore. So Eric McKenna, the artist, comes up now.
Oh, man.
I want to sign you to a record deal, Eric McKenna. Here's what I want. I want 50% of all the music you sell online, which is going to add up to probably nothing.
Nothing.
But I also want 50% of your touring or whatever number we negotiate. Merch, appearances, sponsorships, 360, baby. That's the whole world around.
So it's everything around you.
That means if Guinness comes in and says, Eric, I want to sponsor you for $10,000.
You see that? Pardon me, I didn't hear that. Why don't you say that again?
Yeah, Danger Boy Records goes, remember, I get 50% of that deal. So you only get $5,000 now. That's how it works now. That's the 360 deal. I get something of everything.
That sucks.
I know it does.
That's bad. I mean, it's almost.
But you know what? For a record label, otherwise, why would you invest in it? There's not enough money.
Without it, music will die. Right?
Well, music is never going to die. But for it to be the booming business that it was, we need something that I can walk in and go, yeah, I want that new Eric McKenna album. I just bought it. Here it is. I'm going to take it home now and listen to it. As long as it's on here, unless it's something that can plug into here and play, we're in trouble. Now, hey, I'll throw one other thing in on that topic. One other thing. When you go on your television, you do on demand and you want to buy the new movie, it makes you pay the $20 to buy the movie. or 21 or 20.
Right.
Why aren't albums like that? Why do they sell the song for 99 cents? That's one thing other than what I just said, making another album or CD or cassette. Someone needs to stand up and say, if you want the new Taylor Swift song or the new,
you buy the whole album.
You have to buy the whole album, and it's $12.99 on iTunes. Then that would change the game.
When I saw that happen in response to the whole Napster thing, where you could actually buy individual tracks, and Apple, I believe, was the company that kind of pushed that, buy individual tracks.
Yeah.
Because I guess if you bought every individual tracks, you'd end up paying more for the album than you would if you just bought the whole album. I mean, there was a money maker there, but you're right. It basically incentivized people to do to be so selective, and that's what I understand. As consumers, you want to be able to do that. I mean, there was a lot of stinkers and a lot of records I bought. Yeah. But so you want to pick the ones you want, but it didn't help the artist any. And the ability to share files, I knew this. I knew when Napster hit in like '99, I think it was when it was on my radar, and I knew that it was theft. I mean, first thing I said was, this is insane. How can this possibly be? Because when you made a tape in the 80s or 70s off of an album, there was a loss of quality. There was a denigration of the tape. So artists weren't happy about it. But if you really wanted the real thing, you either go buy the album or you buy the official cassette tape.
Yeah.
But if you made a copy of it, it wasn't really the real thing. It was still duplicate and probably illegal in terms of the eyes of the law. But when file sharing became a one-to-one share, meaning there was no loss of quality, no degradation of product, that's when I knew it was all the gloves were off. It was going to crash. I knew it was going to crash at some point, and the artists really got screwed. They really got screwed, and they've never recovered since. The record industry as a whole got screwed, and they've never recovered.
Yeah, the death of the CD made it where it is very hard to, for an artist, if you become a big star and you can tour, you can still make a lot of money. Right? It really made it harder for record labels. Let's say me and you were going to pool our money together to sign an artist to our record deal. How do we make money when we're not selling CDs anymore?
And this is the thing I don't understand. You're going to help me understand this. Okay, so take an artist like Taylor Swift, megastar, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Take Kanye West, who I just knew him from a guy on South Park. I didn't even know who the guy was because he was so off my radar.
He was on South Park?
He was on South, right? I think in like the late 2000s. What I'm saying to you is, so all these artists are starving, right? So let's just say Kanye West hypothetically put out a particular song or a quote-unquote album digitally, and it sold 10 million copies. I don't even think he did that, but let's just say 5 million, right?
Yeah.
That's still not a heck of a lot of money in the big picture of things. So how is that guy worth like $200 million? Where does all the really insane money organically come from for that elite top 1% artists out there to have all the money and everybody below them's got nothing?
Well, Kanye West is an artist. I don't know his numbers, and what he really has, but when he came out, they were still selling CDs first. They still had CDs were still hanging on.
Okay.
An artist that really truly comes out today, I mean, obviously, if you sell 10 million downloads, if you're getting pennies on the dollar, well, that's going to add up eventually.
Not much. But I mean, in the big picture, think about that. 10 million. I just don't see where the revenue streams are for some of the wealth. Let's just take the TMZ station. For the top people on TMZ, the top 40 people on TMZ who are those elite, wealthy celebrities, whether it's music, hip hop, rap, rock, whatever it is, where is the vehicle to earn that income? Where's that money coming from? I don't get it.
I don't know because I mean if they tour, I get that. I get the touring, and I get maybe sponsorships. I mean, Kanye West is married to Kim Kardashian. There's a television show. There's advertising. There's contracts there.
I guess it's just a lot of money. I mean,
I would say that could be inflated, though. I can tell you that me personally, one of the things in my career is I've interviewed everybody.
Right.
I've interviewed Mr. Rogers, Taylor Swift, Willie Nelson. I just threw the most 3 random connections there.
Willie.
Garth Brooks,
Did you smoke dope with Willie?
I did not. But
I'm just asking.
But I have interviewed him. And I've interviewed everybody.
Contact high with him, right?
And I can't tell you how many artists that I was like, remember, because remember at the end of the year they'll always say like, Garth Brooks made $100 million last year. I remember one time it was LeAnn Rimes. They were like, LeAnn Rimes made $100 million, and I had her in studio.
You brought her over to see me.
I did.
That's one of the greatest.
She was
That's one of the greatest
sweet.
moments of my entire guitar career.
She was
Trust
so
me.
sweet to me. But
I have that photo.
I told her, I said, hey, because this was like not that long ago, and like in the '90s when she was a kid, they were saying on the news she made $100 million this year.
So it's all phony.
Well, I said to her, I said, where's all that money? I go, you made like hundreds of millions of dollars in the '90s. She was like, that's funny. I heard people reporting that, but I never saw it. So I would say to you, when you hear Kanye West is worth $200 million, he might be laughing his ass off wherever
Yeah.
They're making money for sure, but
It's not coming from recorded material. That's
Like-
what I'm trying to say.
look, I don't know that our president has it right about who has the fake news out there, but the truth is there is some fake news out there. And, I'm just saying that he's right about one thing. There is fake news out there. I'm not sure where it is.
Because the internet's the Wild West.
We've always known that, though. There's, the internet, the news, people report stuff, and,
We had that blind trust in the news that we were kids, though, didn't we? I mean, there was
Yeah.
Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw, there was the guy, Peter Jennings. It was like the top 3 networks. And then that slowly other forms of media came along. But we trusted people.
well, about 5 years ago, I went viral. Do you know that story? And it was
No,
wrong.
What happened?
So we came back from the CMA Awards. This was like November of 2013.
Okay.
It was 2013, I think.
All right.
You could Google this. It's not that long ago, so it would come up. My production guy, Midge, he goes, hey, we never put this video from when Taylor Swift was on your show. And it was 10 years prior. He was like, this video of Taylor Swift singing Eminem on your show.
That's cool.
Yeah, she was like, yo, danger, you ever want to do something, like, you got to lose yourself, So he goes, do you mind if I put this on YouTube? And I was like, oh, no, I didn't know it wasn't up there. So he put it on YouTube. Meanwhile, this was something from...
Before she broke.
It was like, so if it was 2013, it was 7 years old, audio.
Right.
So now at the CMA Awards, I had interviewed her, a real 2013 interview. But we got back, we put that interview up, and then he put the track of her singing Eminem on my show. Hang on. So he put that on YouTube.
Right.
Frank Bell calls me the next day, and he says, hey, what? Have you seen the internet? And I go, no. And he goes, you don't know what's going on right now. This is the guy that used to be my boss who's now working for Taylor Swift.
Right.
I go, no, I don't know what's going on. He goes, that video you posted of Taylor Swift singing Eminem on your show, it's all over the internet. It's on TMZ. It's on, what was the guy? Perez Hilton.
Oh, Perez Hilton, yeah.
Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah.
Fox News,
Yeah.
CNN, VH1, MTV. It went worldwide. And he goes, so tell me what's going on with that, because our crew is like, Taylor Swift didn't go on your show and sing Eminem. She just did an interview with you. And I said, Frank, we downloaded the interview of me and Taylor, and then my guy was like, hey, I never put this video up from 7 years ago.
7 years later.
All these news outlets around the world.
Crazy.
We were downloading links from Australia and England.
That's crazy.
And it went you can't stop it. No. It was totally wrong, because it was like, Taylor Swift brings back an old Eminem song on the Danger Show. And
But
they
it's
got my
7
name.
years ago.
Danger Show on Froggy Radio in Pittsburgh. It was everywhere. And after it went through its cycle, if Frank Bell was watching this and actually got to this part, thank you, Frank. It got to the end of the cycle. It was like 48 hours of everyone reporting it, and you couldn't stop it.
That's crazy.
At the end
How
of
did I
it,
hear this?
Frank called me and said, what just happened is in essence what happens to her constantly.
Yeah.
Someone gets a hold of something that's not accurate, and then everybody copies it.
Well, they download it. I mean, because YouTube makes the actual file downloadable, right? Or there's software out there.
Yeah, they were linking it to their sites. It was linked. I could probably pull it up right now if I wanted to. I could show you. I mean, it was on Twitter. I was like retweeting like Twitter, where like TMZ was tweeting me, because they even said like Danger Show, Froggy, Pittsburgh, Taylor Swift, and I was like, And I told him, I said, look, we didn't say that it was brand new.
No.
It even said in there, and he goes, well, just please make sure you put in the description that this is from 2006. But it didn't stop him. Ryan Seacrest in L.A. was like putting it on there.
That's crazy.
I mean, it was just bizarre, but it was but it taught me.
The power of the web.
Yeah. Once they start something, even if it's fake news, it just spreads.
So you're in media. Let's vet that out real quick. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, should the web be a self-policing entity when it comes to reality? Do you think, or do you think we really need some kind of intervention by a governing body to kind of right the wrongs?
There needs to be some rules.
Get things right.
I'm all for freedom of speech, but if I go on my social media and write things about you that are slanderous and untrue, and you can prove it, I think you should be able to sue me. But
not everybody has those resources to do that.
Well, you shouldn't be able to. I mean, there should be some rules. I mean, are you saying that like the Twitter shuts down your page or something? I don't know.
Well, I think Twitter's going through that now. I'm not a Twitter user, but from what I've read, they're going through issues with. And again, this is why I don't do politics. I don't do politics on this. I will never do politics on this podcast.
Yeah.
I will never do politics on my radio gig for real estate down in Beaver County. I won't do it because it's so polarizing. But apparently Twitter's getting the heat now from one side or the other, and I can't remember if it's the right or the left. But one of the side is saying that they're kind of censoring, favoring one side.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Listen, I'll say this: I'm a registered independent.
So am I.
And I go on Twitter daily to post stuff on there, and it's leaning one way. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
I watch it and I see it, and it is what it is. Like because I'm an independent, no one cares what I think. But yeah, I can tell right now that it's leaning one way for sure.
Well, and you probably have fought that. Think about it for a second. You probably have fought that stereotype with country music forever. Country music is supposedly organically or bigger in the red states. I mean, it's got to be a stereotype. Look, the Dixie Chicks put their career in jeopardy by taking a political stance.
Oh God, yeah.
Right?
How
did you manage through the way you were around for that?
Oh
right?
yeah, I was. I was here in Pittsburgh when that happened.
Was there any backlash when that happened?
Locally?
Oh
yeah, they ruined their career. I loved the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
I loved them.
Yeah. Did you ever have them in studio?
In studio, I interviewed them several times.
Right. Backstage
at shows. I went to their shows. I mean, I had a good rapport with them, man. I was there in the early days when they got started, and when they did that, I was so mad at them because I don't care what you call yourself, Republican, Democrat.
It's the same thing, anyways. I'm sorry.
I'm an independent, so
to me,
either one you are.
To me, it is.
Don't put I mean, this is just my opinion. Don't put your career on the line for some politician that you probably have never even met.
Yeah, you're going to alienate half of your fan base.
I mean, whether I like Donald Trump or not, I've never really even met him.
Right.
I don't really know him.
Right.
I don't want to put my career on the line for him. He seems like he's doing pretty good.
Wait, why are they so...
Like, when I say he's doing pretty good, he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He won. He's the president of the United States. He doesn't need my endorsement. I don't want to give it to... I'm just going to do my thing. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to love my wife, my sweet thing that I love. I'm going to raise my 5 children, 4 sons and a daughter. I'm going to do the best damn radio show I can do because I love my job. I love the new business I started as in real estate. I love that.
Absolutely.
Why the politicians? What are they doing for me? I hope they're doing something for me.
That's my whole argument, and it took me a long time to get there. It took a lot of my adult years to get there, and I came to the realization 4 years ago, maybe, that in the end, these are professional people in an arena that I'm not even allowed in, and unfortunately the way the system is rigged, they're in control of everything. I can still carve a great life for myself out here without what, and it doesn't matter really who's in power. It doesn't matter what they do or say. For the most part, I'll still find my way. And getting wrapped up into issue 1 or issue 2 and this side and that personality and this personality and in the memes and all the cruelness that goes along with it, it's not helping my life any. Do you know? It's not enriching my life any.
I'll say this. I've posted this online and it is what it is. I'll say this, Democrats and Republicans are never wrong. Just ask them. And that bothers me. That's why I'm an independent. It's like neither side will ever admit if they're wrong. It's always something else or a distraction or.
But they always govern from the. And I love that about America. It seems like everything is generally governed from the center, where it should be. It's called compromise. You got to govern from the center.
Yeah.
They don't those people don't want to claim to be in the center, but I think that's where they ultimately govern from.
I think that, and I'll say this to any Democrat or Republican out there, I think they don't realize that a third of the country is not a Democrat or Republican. They're independents. And I'm a human being too.
And over a third don't vote, unfortunately.
Well, I do vote.
Yeah.
I do vote, but
in regards to music, though, is the political affiliation with the red state Republican conservative thing, has that always been a stigma with country music, and does it continue to be?
I don't know if I'd use the word stigma. Are there probably
association, I should say.
And listen, I don't know this for a fact. I would think that, I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, if you asked me, like, do you think there's more Republicans or Democrats listening to country music? I would say, because of what I think, and now remember, I'm an independent.
Yeah, and what you experience.
I would say I think probably there's more Republicans.
Yeah. Well, I think we're looking at the registered voter.
But I don't know that for
states.
sure.
I don't know. But country music, when it starts crossing over into pop and all that, it becomes certainly bigger than original country music. I mean, what does country music mean anymore? I mean, what does it really mean?
For politics, I think most of the artists stay out of it.
Well, no. Let's leave the politics over here. Yeah. What does it even mean anymore? Because that's where I go back to that conversation we were starting to have with Garth Brooks. Did he start a different kind of country music? And we're still kind of reveling in that today, where it's more socially acceptable and more crossover into pop. Is because let's face it, Johnny Cash, and Conway Twitty, those guys. That is not what. Yeah, Florida Georgia Line is. Oh, there's tinges of it. That's not what Jason Aldean is. Not what Jason Aldean is, right? I mean, it's not Jason Aldean.
Well,
it's not Sam. What's his name?
Sam Hunt.
Yeah, not him.
Well, Sam Hunt. Yeah, Sam Hunt.
He's got that hip hop thing
going on. He was straight
going
pop.
on.
Yeah. He was pushing the envelope, and I like him. I like him. I've
too.
met him a bunch of times. I've interviewed him. He's a super guy. He just said, he goes, when everybody zigs, I zag. That's what Sam Hunt said. He was doing something different, and it worked out for him.
Right.
He broke through.
Yeah.
But I think that. I would say that country music still tells stories. You ever see the old movie Ray, where Jamie Foxx was Ray Charles?
Yeah.
Ray Charles, remember he was like in the movie, he was like, I love country music because it tells stories.
Yeah.
It still
like
does
the blues.
that. Maybe the beats have changed a little bit, but it's still telling stories, and that's why country music connects to people.
My
That's
lady left me, my pickup truck broke down, and my dog died.
See, you just showed right there that you haven't listened to country music in a long time.
No,
that's what it used to be like. Yeah,
right?
It's not like that anymore. Now it's all good times.
Yeah.
It's a good time party music.
Yeah, and it has been for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have said, my girl's got her Daisy Dukes on and we're drinking beers down at the lake, I'd have said, that's probably it right now. That was like the 2000s, and then the last 10 years have been, oh, God. I'm in my truck, and I'm having the biggest party of my life. It's good times, That's country music now, man. But it's happy.
Yeah, it's upbeat.
The whole stereotype of country being sad, I got into country in the late 90s.
Right.
And the first couple of years, it was still doing that thing. Actually, I had someone in the industry. We debated this at the CMA Awards. There's a video out there. It was a high-ranking country music person, and he was Danger, I want you to interview me. And we sat there, and we were on camera. And he said 90s was soccer mom country.
Ooh, soccer mom
in the media,
country.
Like, baby, I'm amazed by you. And I like that, But then the 2000s,
I get it.
Going into the 2010s became bro country,
Okay.
She's country, or country girl, shake it for me.
Yeah.
All that. We could go on and on.
Well, yeah, and I get that, and there's a different flavor to that.
You know who's a traditional singer that's popular? I just came to my brain. Blake Shelton.
Oh, no question.
I love Blake Shelton.
No
He's a straightforward. He would have been. I mean, first of all, he came out in like 2002, but he would have been perfect for the 90s. He sat there with his guitar and just sang a great country song. Blake Shelton is still, and then there's people that are, I laugh because people on Twitter are like, you ain't country. It's like, what are you talking about?
They say that?
He's a redneck that is just straight up singing country songs.
Yeah, he's definitely country.
Old Red and,
he's definitely country.
Listen, I know there's always going to be critics. I get it, but sometimes
you need critics, though. You need them. You need the good with the bad. It's yin and the yang. You have to have it. I believe that. You have to have it. I mean, if everything's all good, that's not good either. Tastes good, huh?
I love it.
Guinness in a bottle. Who would have thought, huh?
Well, I mean, being my Irish-American brother like you are.
Yes. Oh, I put away a few Guinness in my day.
It's our holiday coming up, buddy.
I know.
I'm in the St. Patrick's Day parade in Pittsburgh on Saturday.
With your bullhorn.
With my bullhorn.
You got to get a green bullhorn.
You call them out because they're in the crowd and they're thinking, oh, you can't get me.
Danger sucks.
Yeah, there's always that one guy yells out danger sucks, and then I'm like, hey, you in the A's hat, you suck. The bullhorn, because they think, and then everyone hears it, points them out. I describe them.
But, Pittsburgh is a fun town, don't you think? I mean, you've been here now, what was it, 17
years, dude.
I mean, so, again, it's parochial to say it. I get it. But, I mean, Pittsburgh's a fun town. Really. I mean, I've done some traveling in my day, and I've been to the West Coast a lot, Chicago, New York, and I can't say that I'm a highfalutin traveler. I'm not. But a period of my life, I spent time in a lot. I mean, I've been in New Orleans. I've been in Nebraska and Oklahoma. I've been around, and there's nothing like home here. I can't explain it. People keep coming back.
For a metropolitan area that has around 2 million people, which makes it like a top 30 market in the country.
Right.
It is so safe, so family-oriented. It is so...
good cost of living.
It is a great town, and it has such civic pride. That's something I love about it. Like, if you say you don't like Pittsburgh, somebody might punch you in the nose here. And I love that. You know what I mean? That's good.
Yes.
And people would call into my radio show, and I'd be like, where you calling from? Pittsburgh. What part? Beaver Falls. Like, you're freaking 45 minutes from downtown Pittsburgh. But I love that, That's great. Or Butler or Slippery Rock.
What's worse is when they call it and go, where are you from? Athens, Ohio. You said Pittsburgh. It is Pittsburgh region. Okay. So,
but that's okay, though.
Yeah, it is okay.
There's such a pride. You know what? Listen. Steubenville, Ohio.
Oh, yeah. They associate more with Pittsburgh than they do Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
Go figure that out.
Because they're only like 45 minutes from downtown. I used to love them. A favorite commercial was the commercial used to run, and people that were in Steubenville, Ohio didn't know it was running.
Okay.
I just had this conversation. I pulled it up on YouTube. I was somewhere, and it was somebody from Steubenville. Because they didn't run in Steubenville, Ohio. There was a commercial that ran in Pittsburgh that would go, Steubenville, Ohio, the burb of the burg, the burb of the burg. Do you remember that?
Yes,
it would run during Pirates games. Only 30 minutes from downtown Pittsburgh.
The burb of the burg.
The burb of the burg. The burb of the burg. That's on YouTube still. It's a hilarious.
I remember that.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure Steubenville is not the burb of the burg.
I think it's a different state.
But I love that, though, because that means Pittsburgh has such a civic pride. That someone that is born in Butler or Uniontown
or a different state
or Greensburg or even across the line in Weirton, West Virginia or Steubenville, Ohio.
They want that association.
I'm from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they want that association. Now,
and I want to say this to everyone out there that's in Greensburg or Slippery Rock or Uniontown or my favorite Ohio pal or we love you. You're a part of Pittsburgh.
There's no question. And, The thing about Pittsburgh is there's such – and you had to feel this when you got here. You'd be an idiot if you didn't feel this. When you got here, Steeler fans are insane.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they're insane. The Pirate following is strong. It still is, regardless of the bad years. It's still a strong Pirate base here.
Yeah. They still go to the games.
The team is still here, and they wouldn't be if there wasn't a following.
Right.
And the Penguins, I mean, my goodness. So when you got here, was that a little overwhelming? Like how because I'll ask you this. Well, I'll put a statement out, then I'll ask you a question. The statement is, a friend of mine who moved here from Baltimore many years ago said, what's crazy about Pittsburgh is I manage like 150 people downtown. I came here from Baltimore, and it's amazing in the fall. Like you have the weekend, and we're a traditional 9-to-5 business. Come in on Monday morning, and we're either going to have a flipping great day. Production's going to be high. Everybody's in a good mood. We're getting longer, or else it's going to be like Satan was here. And it all depends on whether the Steelers won the day before. The psyche of the town, the emotional stability of the town was wrapped up in that victory or loss. And he was deadpan telling me this. And he had not come. He'd grown up in Baltimore and come here, and he goes, it's amazing how the whole psyche of the town rides on how good the football team's doing.
I think in northern cities that it's really important because it's something that gets you through the winter. You know, and now football is only, November, December, maybe January if you do the playoffs. And if you make it to the Super Bowl into February.
And we're usually in there. I mean,
I've lived here, right. I've lived here where Steelers have won Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, and been to a third.
Right.
So I've been here for that. And I've been here for, I think, 3 Stanley Cups since I moved here. And I was here for 3 winning seasons for the Pirates, 17 years. But no,
be nice.
The sports is what kind of adds to the civic pride. You know, it does that helps. If anyone was ever saying, "What's a good thing about having a sports team in your town?" Well, people from all around the region, because truth be told, people that are in Weirton, West Virginia, or Butler, PA, or Greensboro, they're part of our metropolitan
There's no
area.
question. There's no question about it.
You know what I mean?
The Panhandle, West Virginia is included in there.
Yeah.
The most eastern part of Ohio.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If they need to do something, they probably drive into Pittsburgh. It's not that far of a drive. So,
well, it's the biggest airport in the area too.
Right. Sports teams
unify,
and so yeah, I think I think that's great. When I moved here,
it had to be a little different growing up in Memphis because you wouldn't have seen the college end of it. You probably would have seen it, rooting for the local college team. But here it's like this is Steeler nuts in this town.
The town. Well, I'm from a town.
Would you agree or not?
Well, when I was on the radio in Memphis, people would say, "I ain't from Memphis. I'm from Collierville," which was like a neighborhood. Imagine someone saying, "I ain't from Memphis. I'm from Greensboro."
Duquesne.
I'm sorry. I'm not from Pittsburgh. I'm from Moon.
Right.
There was the opposite of civic pride. And me, I'm a very loyal person. That used to anger me on the radio. I'd be like, "Yeah, you're from Memphis." They're like,
right.
People would walk one step across the city limits and say, now, because truth be told, the Pittsburgh city limits is tiny.
Sure.
Yeah, so all these people that say they're from Pittsburgh, really, they're not.
Right. Shh. This is a Pittsburgh podcast. This is a Pittsburgh regional podcast we're listening to. We may not be within the city lines of Pittsburgh.
Well, let me rephrase that. Because I love Pittsburgh. And what I want to say is that there's the metropolitan area.
Right.
And I think that's important. And because there's such a civic pride here, even if you are 45 minutes from the city limits, you say you're from Pittsburgh. Yeah. Even an hour away sometimes. Yeah. And I love that.
So do you think like New York has that too? You think?
New York City might, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been there a few times. I think they have a civic pride. They're a proud town. There's a bunch of them out there.
I think
Pittsburgh, though, is different.
Because of Pittsburgh's different in a lot of ways. And again, it's parochial for us to say it. I get that. That's cool. But ultimately, your northeastern towns, because of the weather, you get for so many months of the year, you're getting beaten up with bad weather. It's harder to live up here than it is in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Florida, Louisiana,
Tennessee.
Arizona, Tennessee. Weather-wise, it's harder.
Yeah.
There was an article I read the other day about how tough looking at gray skies are for your brain for a good part of the year. We laugh about it, but there's some scientist somewhere did some analogy of 500 people they interviewed, and it does have an effect. And we do not see a lot of quote unquote blue when we look up. We see a lot of gray here.
Well, people get angry, when I would tweet or something like I'm rooting for global warming. I want it. And people will be like, "Oh,
does that really exist?"
Well, people will be like, "Oh, you're wishing for bad things." I go, "All right, let me rephrase that then.
Yeah.
Let me correct that.
Yeah.
I want Pittsburgh warming.
Yeah.
How about if only Pittsburgh warms?
Something, right. I mean, but that has to be a difference between Memphis and here, right? A lot more blue skies.
It's warm. I can play golf all year long.
A lot more blue skies there.
The weather's better.
Puffy clouds.
And really that's the answer to the question. I love everything about Pittsburgh. The only thing I don't love about it
sucks.
Is the weather.
Yeah, it does. It does. And there's no way around it too.
But listen, it doesn't suck all year. Summers are fantastic here. In the South, when it's boiling hot, it's freaking like 79 or 81 here.
Yeah, I get that, but we don't get a lot of it, though. We don't get a lot of it. I mean,
no, we do not get a lot of nice weather. That's
how
my
much
only
snow do you
complaint.
get in Memphis?
None. I mean, if it's cold one day in January, like 2 days later, it's sunny and 53. You know what I mean? I played golf all year there. So I mean, Pittsburgh weather is its weak spot. Everything else about Pittsburgh is its. If there was a second thing that is bad about Pittsburgh, taxes. The taxes are high in Pennsylvania, but I mean, I'm stretching now.
Yeah,
because it is a wonderful place to live.
Because for metropolitan areas, there are quite a few higher taxed areas in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. And my children are blessed to be in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? It is a wonderful place.
The thing I love about this town, too, and I don't think I ever even talked to anybody about this, but I've always known it. That when I traveled, especially the closer I got to L.A., Detroit, Chicago, big urban cities, big urban/suburban cities, big sprawls, right? Just huge. Chicago's insane. I mean, Chicago proper, and then there are people that claim they're in Chicago are like 300 miles away, it seems like. But people are generally pretty nice here.
Yes, they are.
They are. I mean, friendly. And, of course, there's always going to be pockets of aggravation and people complaining about things. I get it, especially on social media. But generally speaking, if you really would talk to somebody who does a lot of traveling, they're probably going to say Pittsburgh's a pretty nice, pretty friendly place to go.
If I was to move south, tomorrow, I would be glad to get to warm weather, but I would be very sad to leave here because there's just wonderful people here, wonderful people.
Food's good too.
The food's good. Which we could do a whole topic on what is the cuisine of Pittsburgh. I would say it's beer and wings. But
that's what you like. Naturally.
And sandwiches with fries on them. But
Permanis, we'll say it.
The people here are good. The neighborhoods, all the neighborhoods where people are like.
And have you felt more of that since you've also started your real estate business? I mean, because I know I have.
Yeah, well, doing radio, I always go broadcast somewhere.
Yeah. You're remote.
I've been everywhere.
I know.
I've done,
You're in Washington, PA a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I'll be in Murraysville this Friday on a fish fry, then the next week Renterdale, the next week Sewickley, the next week McMurray, and then Calcutta, which is in a different state, Ohio.
Oh, my gosh.
Everywhere. But, but in real estate, too, I have learned, and that's something that secretly, I really like geography. Mm-hmm. Is that weird? I like maps and areas.
It's a little weird.
I'll tell you this, from real estate, I learned that there's two areas that I really like that I think are like, well, one is already not even, it's booming, is Lawrenceville. Mm-hmm. I really like Lawrenceville. The other one, and I'm going to turn this on you too and say if there's anything you discovered through real estate, because there's a lot of neighborhoods I already knew were good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the north side, I've
always liked it.
I like it. It's got
now what's going on there is amazing.
Yeah, it's got a bright future. What about you? What about in real estate? What are some?
I'm probably going to go the other direction. I've been enamored by Hookstown.
Okay,
I've had some listings out there, and
Beaver County, baby.
Yeah,
Southside School District.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Just really, open spaces. I was raised in Coriopolis. I've lived in Mount Lebanon, lived in Moon Township, lived around the suburbs. The great town. I mean, every street I've ever lived on, including where I live now. I mean, I'm blessed by great people around me. I am. What's different though when I got to Hookstown is 4 acres here, 3 acres here, 2 acres here. That open space to actually live there day in, day out is something that really appeals to me.
Well, let me tell you something. If I stay in Pittsburgh, if this is where the good Lord plans for me to spend the rest of my life, my plan is to live in the West Hills of Pittsburgh and have a cabin and some land up by Ohio Powell. Fayette County. Oh, when you go into Fayette County, up on that mountain, just
I'm
east,
familiar.
Where there's Nemacolin, there's Seven Springs, there's Ohio Powell, there's all kinds of stuff. There's so much stuff up there. I love it. As soon as I start going up that mountain, it's like I'm on vacation.
The summit.
And I have my eyeball.
Hidden Valley's up there, right? Hidden Valley's up there?
Yeah, Hidden Valley's up there too. Yeah, I mean, Falling Water. I could go on and on. There's so much stuff up there. I love it up there.
Those people claim they're from Pittsburgh.
They're from Pittsburgh.
They're from Pittsburgh.
And you know what? A lot of those people are really from Pittsburgh because I rent cabins up there now.
Uh-huh.
And you'll be sitting at the bar and there's like people like, oh yeah, I lived in Upper St. Clair or North
I feel
Hills.
that way when I go to Deep Creek, Maryland.
Yeah,
I go to Deep Creek and I'm down there and there was the Big Bear Lounge down there. You're sitting there and half the bars from Pittsburgh.
Do you know I've never been to Deep Creek?
Oh, it's great.
I've never been there. I've been invited to Deep Creek
Yeah, you need
multiple
to go.
times.
You need to go.
But you know what, though? To drive from where I live to Ohio Powell, it's like an hour and 10 minutes.
Right.
And that's my comfort zone. And when you tell me it's another hour to Deep Creek, I'm
Not quite,
turned
but-
off by that.
Yeah, I get it. You need to go, though. You definitely need to go.
Well, see, I have a friend that's in real estate.
Quaint. It's quaint.
And he told me that in the 80s, people were buying up property cheap in Deep Creek.
There's been fortunes made down there.
Oh, yeah. And now I look at Ohio Powell. Like I'm
Same
thinking,
way.
yeah. I'm like, you can still get stuff reasonable there.
Mm-hmm.
It's an hour closer to Pittsburgh, and there's the mountains. And I love, you know what? Everybody else, don't buy anything there because I want to buy something up there. I want to be up.
Speak
on
about
that
food for a second. Besides the wings and the beer, okay, I get that. But what are some of your go-to restaurants that you've enjoyed over the past 17 years you've been here?
Some of me and my wife's.
I get
favorite-
asked that a lot as a realtor.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, about give me some
right.
spots.
I'll
And I don't get out enough. So.
Well, my wife is a foodie.
Okay.
She's a great cook, and I've always told people my wife's like a young Martha Stewart.
Okay,
She's like the old school.
minus the jail.
Well, she's a sheriff. So
I know. That's where I was
But
going
she's
with
never
that,
been
right?
incarcerated.
She's helped incarcerate
Well,
others,
yeah,
but she's never been incarcerated.
Martha Stewart was like the old-fashioned, like,
Sure.
she cooked. She's a mom, like
Yeah.
all about the old school
Until she went to jail.
female.
And
But-
now she does a show with Snoop Dogg. So
My wife,
what can you think?
does she
about it?
really?
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Martha Stewart. Well,
I like Snoop Dogg.
My wife's like, she's a phenomenal cook and
Yeah.
stuff. But we go to restaurants and there's a high quality because what she
Well,
cooks
she's
at home.
demanding because she's probably thinking, I'm not going to go anywhere and have subpar food when I can make better at home.
Wow,
Am I right?
That's what I hear all day. I've been hearing that for a long time.
Kelly, see, I got
yeah,
to figure it out.
yeah. So our favorite restaurants are Wild Rosemary and Upper St. Clair.
You told me about that
And
a
if
year
you-
ago.
And if you want to make a reservation in 6 months from now, you should call right now. We love High Hold and Moon.
Yeah, I do too.
We love High Hold, and we've done a lot of like Valentine's and anniversaries there.
Right.
It's expensive. It's
It's an experience.
Yeah. Last Saturday, I took her for the first time to Senti in Lawrenceville.
Did you like it?
Yeah, we both loved it.
Someone else told me that too.
Yeah, I
It's
recommend
definitely
that.
a good
It was
spot.
great. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, some of the places, where we've been a ton lately, and this is not like we've been to Industry in Robinson.
Yeah, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
That's kind of like our new, like, we go there all the time.
Yeah, I
The
like
food, I wouldn't say it's
their-
like high
I like
quality.
their casual food though. It's
It's
tasty.
a nice place.
It is a nice
It's a
food.
good.
It's
It's
got a
good
vibe.
food.
It's got a good vibe in there too.
Yeah, it's very hipster.
It is.
And
It is.
and listen,
It
if
is.
someone from Industry is listening, the food is really good there. I mean,
Oh,
we go there all the
yeah,
time.
yeah. It's just.
But the atmosphere is great.
the vibe is very cool. I keep year in year out. I keep saying, well, I'm going to find a. I've never had a bad meal at Majorca. Never. And I've been there so many times, and it's.
That's on the south side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just showed a property over right by it this past
Have you
weekend.
never gone there?
I think we did back in. It's been there a while, right?
Uh-huh.
That's been there a while. We need to go there again. I like the south side. I
Have
like
a
the
steak at Hyde Park. Trust me.
Hyde Park. I have not been to Hyde Park yet.
Have a steak at Hyde Park.
I've heard that's
have a
good.
porterhouse.
Oh, you know what else I like? 10 Penny
Yeah, me too.
downtown. 10
too.
Penny is good.
Uh-huh.
I just ate. Actually, I went with Gabby Barrett and her dad.
Very cool.
And we ate at 10 Penny. We did a. Did you see that thing I did where we sang on the incline?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I know.
Let her sing.
Me singing is not good. It's not
You
good.
tried a little bit of that tonight. We got a little flavor of that this evening.
Yeah, you can see why the music career didn't work out for me. But
But Pittsburgh's got great pizza too. I think so.
one of the first
We're
places
not
when I
known
first
for
moved
that,
here,
but-
my wife took me to what's the place in like Brookline?
Minio's.
No, it's something else. It's right on West Liberty Avenue, like when you come through the Liberty Tunnel. Come on, man, you're a Yinzer,
I am a Yinzer to some degree. Huh? It's straight.
not Minio's.
Skinniest man.
You put the cold cheese on top.
Oh. See, you dig that? I don't dig that. at all.
I don't do it anymore. I'm trying not to become 300 pounds.
It's hard in Pittsburgh.
yeah.
So I end up going out late a lot because I pick my wife up at the airport, and we're like constant. So what's open late, right? Permanente Brothers, and we
Yeah.
love it there anyway. So, but again, a half a loaf of Italian bread and French fries,
Yeah.
being consumed at 1:30 in the morning probably is not the best thing for your diet.
Yeah, we like. I mean, well, we don't go to Permanente Brothers very
It's
often,
an
but I
institution.
do like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an institution.
I like it.
It's part of Pittsburgh's culture, and it's something that people come to town. They either love. I don't love the sandwich. The coleslaw, I can't do it. But the point is, it's part of Pittsburgh's current culture, and people in other towns, they've seen those sandwiches either through sporting events or the multitude of TV shows and the Food Network and everything else.
There's a lot of super cool restaurants around Pittsburgh now. Like, if you really were like, hey, I want to go out and find...
I like Fatheads. Don't laugh.
On the south side?
Yeah, I love going down there.
That was one, when I first moved here in 2002, I would go there and get wings and stuff. That was one of my first spots.
I got the Bottle Shop Cafe.
Is that still open?
What? Fatheads?
Fatheads.
Oh, it's been a while for me. I'm assuming they have the beer is now in supermarkets.
Is that
right?
their beer?
Yeah, Bumbleberry. I think it's like the latest.
Oh yeah, we just had some of that. I didn't have it. My wife did. I try to stay away from fruity beers.
Me too.
It's just
I tried it. It was okay. There was something called, what was that one beer from the 90s? It was so amazing.
Don't you dare say Zima.
No. I can see you and your bleach blonde hair down in Memphis. Probably consuming some Zima in your day.
I hate Zima. So that's like the.
Is that back?
Is
Zima
yes,
back?
Yes, it is. But listen, for 10 years on the radio, I made fun of Zima. Every punch. It's like top 5 signs you're at a lame Super Bowl party. The only beer on tap is Zima. I made fun of Zima for 10 years. And then somewhere on social media, like a couple years ago,
it came back.
People started like making fun of me with Zima. They started saying, "Hey, Danger loves Zima," and like tagging me in pictures of Zima. There's people out there because they heard me make fun of it so much.
Right.
So then, like, people are calling me and going, "Hey, I heard you like Zima," and I'm like, "I hate Zima." It's a clear, girly malt liquor. I do not like it.
How do you even qualify it as a beer? Then again, people qualify Natural Light as a beer too, and I haven't figured that out yet. That's kind of a foul.
I got no problem with Natural Light.
Or Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Zima's awful. But you know what I do like? I'll tell you this. Here's something I will tell you. You know, I'm a proud Irish American. Actually, truth be told, I'm Netherlands, Ireland. So Dutch, Irish, American, Southern Yinzer is what I am. And
that's a hell of a combo.
And when it comes to beer, I like stouts and porters.
Really?
Oh yeah,
like the heavy stuff.
That's probably why I'm swelling up like a tick.
There's that Memphis coming out.
I do like it though. Does that sound Southern? Swelling up like a tick.
Yeah, no question. No question. Yeah, yeah, see, I'm not a connoisseur of beer, and I'm
drinking one right now. Stout, buddy.
This is good. I mean, I've always drank Guinness. That was always like the
Come on, McKenna.
hip thing. Yeah, but the whole IPA thing is such a big thing now.
I don't like them.
I've missed it all, and the other thing too is you walk into a specialized. There may be one across the street from where we're at now, but we're not going to disclose where we are. But there happens to be a, like a little brewery thing, and it's cool. And maybe it's a good business model. I salute them. But to me, when I try an IPA, it's got like a really harsh, bitter. It's either, is your beer hoppy? Or is it, I don't know. It just doesn't taste good. That's what they asked me that at a bar. Is your beer too hoppy?
That sounds like a Froggy.
I said it just doesn't taste good. I don't know if it's too hoppy, if it's just not enough hops in it. I just don't know. And I guess the bitterness is part of the whole thing, see?
Yeah.
And I don't know, the IPA thing, it's big business now. It's not just in Pittsburgh, it's big business, period.
Yeah. But I read a story the other day, and this is funny because in Pittsburgh, it ain't true. But I read a story the other day that the beer industry was actually a little bit down.
I heard that too.
And they said they thought it was because of people smoking more marijuana.
Could be. But the IPA business is up.
I don't think the beer industry is ever going to be down in Pittsburgh.
Well, I think they were basing that story. It was a national story. But I think I heard it on Bloomberg, and they were saying that Budweiser or one of the big beer companies during the Super Bowl were advertising they don't use corn syrup. Did you see that?
Yeah.
The commercials are based off of it, and I guess they were trying to. Was it Budweiser attacking the other two?
I can't remember. I saw the commercial though.
But they were saying that commercial was a little bit out of desperation. They're trying to find a niche. The top 3 or 4 beers, they're trying to find a niche to beat the other guys up.
Yeah.
Because
does this have corn syrup in it?
I don't know.
I
always thought Guinness when I was a younger man. I thought it was like drinking a chocolate milkshake.
You drank them when you were a kid? You're a real Irish American.
I started when I was 7.
Mom said, "Just drink this and shut up."
Right in the Fruit Loops.
Go to bed. This will quiet you down, McKenna.
Yeah.
Have 2 or 3 of those.
But I always thought it was almost like you sit in a bar and so back in the days when I didn't make any money, I mean, I didn't make any money. You put your best clothes on, try to make a good impression, knowing you have enough money for like maybe 2 drinks. You better hope no one sits down next to you and asks to buy a round because you're in trouble. But they would pour that Guinness, and I'd look at it. It looked like a chocolate milkshake to me. And I was hooked from a young age, and I can't drink it. It's a heavy beer. It's
actually
stuff.
low calorie. You know that, right?
You sure about that?
It's less than 100 calories a beer.
I don't think that's right. The carbs are high in this, aren't they?
It says it around the bottle here somewhere.
Are
if
you
look,
serious?
Yeah. Look around.
I think you're full of shit, but let's see.
No. It's on here. I can see. Oh, this one says calories 116.
Okay. Well, where's the carbohydrates? Only 8.9. That's not bad then. Okay.
This is actually decent.
I stand corrected. So is this the same thing that comes in the? Really?
Even though it's dark. Now, I will tell you that some of the stouts and porters I've been drinking lately.
Give me some names.
Great Lakes. They're out of Cleveland. I like their Edmund
what?
Fitzgerald
Wait, what?
Imperial Port. Yeah, listen.
What town you from, buddy?
When I go to a bar, I go, "What stouts and porters do you have?" And then whatever they say, and I like them. But there's a lot of bars around here have the Great Lakes in there.
They better not be selling that stuff in Heinz Field, right?
No, probably not. But listen, that's the only one I drink. I drink any stouts and porters, and they're not all good.
Yeah.
They're not all good.
Not all, but you'll drink them, though.
But those are my favorites. Those are my splurge. I try not to buy them at home. Excuse me. I try not to. Cheers.
Salute.
I try not
Salute.
to buy the stouts and porters at home.
Okay.
I try to only have you know what our go-to beer at home is? Like Labatt Blue Light.
Ooh, okay.
Coors Light. Those are our 2 at-home beers. What
I
about
used
you?
to,
What's in your fridge?
Kahlua. I put it in my coffee. What can I say?
We do have a bottle of Tito's in our fridge, too.
I don't know. I try not to keep beer at home, period.
We have a bottle of Tito's like this big.
The Tito's is good. If you're going to drink vodka, you might as well drink the good stuff.
Yeah.
The good, clean.
Vodka's Russian, but that's made in America.
Yeah, and that's it is. It is. And I think it's served on the airplanes. Your better airlines serve that now, too. So Tito's is like a thing. That's like Zima was like 30 years ago. Hey, in the 80s, I remember Zima being a thing. And speaking of like a thing, we didn't even touch on, Tequila Cowboy.
You talking about Saddle Ridge or Tequila Cowboy?
No, well, both.
Well, Tequila Cowboy's open now.
It's still open?
On the North Shore, and the North Shore is amazing.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I think the North Side is such a promising area because you have all that entertainment there.
Yeah. Saddle Ridge, though.
Saddle Ridge. Well, that
place used to be hopping, and then poof, it was gone.
Well, poof, it was gone. It was open from 2005 to 2013. So that was 8 years. It was
so you're trying to say
run.
in the bar business, that's a good run.
That's a good run.
Yeah.
And, that's another thing. Like, the things that were the key to my success, country music rising, all the stars filtered through my show in the afternoon.
Right.
Poverty Neck Hillbillies, and I was right there with them.
Right.
I had a friendship with them, still do. Had them on my show. We were the only ones playing them. Saddle Ridge opened. I was there every Friday night. From the night it opened, I was there the night it opened.
Yeah.
People were lined up around Station Square. All the way.
I remember.
I mean, I spent almost a decade of my life on Friday nights, on the mic going, balls, and stuff like that. Playing Twister on stage with country music fans. It was a good time. It was a good time. It was a great time. It was a great time. It's been a little over 5 years. I think it closed at the end of 2013. So it's been a little over 5 years, yeah.
Really? And nothing really has risen to take its place.
Well, Tequila Cowboy's open. It's a nice little venue there on the North Shore.
Though.
Well, it's not the same because they're doing it like they do it in Nashville. Mm-hmm. In Nashville, you walk in, there's a band playing. And that's what they're doing. They're recreating what Nashville's doing. And I respect that. What we were doing at Saddle Ridge, that was a club. That was a nightclub.
No question.
And it was the most popular nightclub in Pittsburgh. I had a run there where I was there every weekend, probably for at least 4 or 5. From 2005 to 2009, that was
I remember.
That was the #1 club in Pittsburgh. I would be in the DJ booth, and I'm not making this up. Ben Roethlisberger would walk through and high five me in the DJ booth. The Pirates, the Penguins were up, like they were there. I would be like, "Hey, what's up to whatever?"
Right.
Luke Bryan, Taylor. Big
That's
and Ridge.
crazy.
People were like riding the bull. They were like celebrities, man. They would have a show and they'd come there afterwards because it was the place to be.
It was hopping.
Good Froggisms. But no, it was an amazing place. That was people that went there. They know it was awesome, and they know it was incredible atmosphere there.
Yeah.
It was a country lifestyle thing that was number one. Whenever you get something that really it just gets bigger than it should, bigger than you could even imagine. And I shouldn't say should, but you're just like, how? This is the hottest.
Well, it was,
and the metropolitan area with 2 million people.
Kind of lined up.
It
for
did.
That. Yeah,
it did. It was the spot. It was the spot. The whole city, there was nothing hotter than that. Period.
Wow. Yeah. See, and there's nothing there.
They tore it down. It's a parking lot now. Actually, they're building condos, I think, there.
The issue, though, is nothing really replaced it. I mean, that's the. So again, does it come back to are we more creatures of habit? Are we staying home more? Is it just? I don't know. It's everything surprises me that we can't get people to come out and pay money to see local bands. They won't pay a cover charge, and that's always been kind of a thing, right? And there's not many dance clubs left anymore, really.
No,
people still go to the movies. I think the movies are still kind of
the world's changing. But you know what I will tell you though, for the country music fan in this Pittsburgh metropolitan area. From May until the end of September, there is a country concert almost every weekend.
Which is great. Don't you think Pittsburgh's a big concert-going town?
Pittsburgh, believe it or not, someone that lives here might not realize this. Pittsburgh has been a top 5 market for country music in the whole United States of America for probably 15 years.
I believe that. I believe it.
And
we like our live shows.
We have everybody.
But for national acts, though, I can't because we don't support our local acts.
Well, there was a time when it was hot. When the Poverty Net Killbillies were really hitting their stride, the local music scene was booming.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because they would sell out all their shows everywhere they played, and then there were other acts that were going out
ride their
Nomad.
coattails.
Well, not riding their coattails, but just local music became hot. And listen, Froggy played a part in that.
Yeah.
Because we played their songs on the radio, it really...
Rough Creek is still going on. I mean, they're still a viable band.
There's bands that are still out there that were doing this 10 years ago, like Nomad, Rough Creek, Timothy Earl.
What about the oh my goodness, the name escapes me now. Stickers.
The Stickers, yeah, they're great. They put out. We played a ton of their songs on the radio. They went to Nashville and recorded stuff with top songwriters and producers.
It's just so hard to break in, isn't it? I mean, it's just crazy. I mean,
you
almost feel bad. I mean. They're living, and then I know Lacey enough to know that he's having fun. He loves music so much that he's enjoying his life.
You're talking about Sean Lacey.
Sean, yeah. My point is, I know him well enough to know that he loves music so much. This is his life.
He worked at Froggy with me.
Yeah,
me and him used to write songs on the guitar together.
It's crazy. I got videos. I told you in my office. I have photos of him coming in. He was an intern.
Yeah.
But he started as an intern, right? Or you would use him for weekend work or something initially.
Well, he was a part-timer.
Part-timer, yeah.
Yeah, and he's been in Nashville for 10 years playing all over. He had a
management
deal.
He goes to Bub City in Chicago a lot, too. It's a big
he travels
venue.
over.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's had a management deal there. He may even have a publishing deal. When you go to Nashville, let's say you were going to go make music in Nashville. There's 3 things to get. And someone in Nashville may watch this and correct me in the comments. Please put comments. But there's the management deal.
Nice.
The management deal is your manager gets you gigs.
Right.
Publishing deal. People pitch your songs that you wrote to artists.
Right.
And then there's the label that tries to make you get on the radio or wherever now, streaming, whatever. Those are the 3 deals you can get, and I'm pretty sure Sean Lacey had a management deal, and he may have had a publishing deal, too, because he's a phenomenal songwriter.
No question. He had a couple good videos, too. I mean, they were web-based, but, I mean, they were very good.
Did he have his shirt on in those?
I think he did,
Okay.
I'm not worried about him so much, but hobby, I wanted him to keep his shirt on.
He did definitely take his shirt off a lot.
Before we wrap this up, let me ask you where you think the direction of terrestrial radio is going, because there were the naysayers back when satellite hit that give it 5 years, terrestrial radio will be done, and terrestrial radio continues to be a thriving part of the Americana. And what's your thoughts on that? And satellite, to a degree, in certain markets and in certain shows, has struggled.
I think it's crazy that I've been on a radio station for 17 years in Pittsburgh this month. 17 years. When I took this job, I had a 3-year contract, and I told my family in Tennessee, I'll be back in like a year or 2.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I
No expectations.
Yeah, I just thought. Well, no, I didn't. I thought that I would use this job to get back home.
Then, okay.
Something would open up in Nashville
Got
or
it.
Memphis, and I'd be gone.
Got it.
But what happened was it just took off. I mean, my show was like #1 in the ratings.
Right.
And I had people. I was just like, this city loves country music, and it just took off, and
You branded yourself very well, though.
And I married a Pittsburgh woman. I married a Yinzer.
Yeah, you did.
I love this town. I love Pittsburgh, man. I love it. As much as I can't stand the winters here, I don't mind Christmas being cold and the snow. Even January.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah. When it's like March and April, I want like warm. I want to be wearing khaki shorts playing golf. But anyway, I love this town. But like I can't believe I've been here this long. I love it. I love this town. This is, at some point, if I stay here much longer, it's going to be over half my life here. You know what I mean? And
you can't leave.
Yeah, I love this town. And the answer to your question is, I feel like there will always be audio entertainment. When we started this interview, you're like, what do you think about podcasts?
Right.
I mean, the answer is there will always be audio entertainment. As long as you wear headphones while you're working out, or you listen to music, or as long as we have to drive a car.
I think transportation is a big part of it. I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. The #1 place people listen to the radio is in the car.
Or to shower.
That's
where you learn to sing.
Yeah, right.
At least that's what I experienced
hosting. These self-driving cars, I don't like them. I don't like them for two reasons.
Could you possibly trust a self-driving car?
I don't like self-driving cars for two reasons. One, they could put radio out of business. Or let me say it again. They could put audio entertainment out of business, because you can watch TV while you're driving a self-driving car. Two is, what the hell is a self-driving car? It's going to run somebody over.
It has already.
Yeah.
Been accidents. I mean, there's a video on YouTube right now that if you go and search, a guy was in a Tesla. He was it was driving him to wherever he was going, and he fell asleep. Mm-hmm. And the car rode up next to him, and the couple in the car next to him was videotaping. It was this guy's passed out in the front seat.
Good for him.
Good for him. Would you have the stones to do that?
No. Terrified.
There's no way I would do that. No way. I'd relinquish control to a machine.
Yeah.
Driving 70 miles an hour down the highway.
Look, you know that one of our realtor friends, Tessier, has a Tesla.
Yeah.
And I drove out to Somerset with them. We were almost to Somerset.
Okay.
Think about it. That's like an hour and 15, 20-minute drive.
Right.
Right when we got there, I looked over and realized that he hadn't been driving the entire time. I go, hey, you're not driving. He goes, you just noticed that? We're an hour into this drive. I was terrified, mortified, angered.
You're the passenger.
Yeah. So on the way back, I was like,
put your hand on the wheel, asshole.
God. Yeah. So these self-drive. So anyway, audio entertainment will always be around.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be the way we're doing radio now? I think it's got if it's dying, it's going to be a slow death, a long time. I think it's going to be 10 years at least before it goes away. But it may never go away, because there's so much. Because here's why it's important.
Free. It's free.
It's free, but here's another reason it's important. Let's say, I know that people don't think about this, but let's say there was a natural disaster or a war, and they knocked out our internet. We can communicate with the radio. Mm-hmm. It's a tower that shoots a signal to your radio. It still serves a very vital. Yeah. One of the things
public safety.
Yeah, it's a public. One of the things, like if we were in a war, knocking out someone's communications has always been a huge thing.
That's goal number one usually.
That's goal number one, because we can't communicate with each other. We're
sitting ducks.
Radio and television, the old-fashioned way, not the kind that you plug in, you pull up Netflix, but the TV tower and the radio tower that
UHF and VHF.
Yes. Having
AM,
those
FM.
means that if they knocked out our internet, we could still communicate with each other.
Right.
So I think for that reason alone, the government will keep it around as long as possible. And we're still doing good, man. Our company's buying radio stations still. We just bought like 10 more radio stations in the last 2 months. I think it's going to be around for a while. And we appreciate people listening.
Oh, yeah. What is that station again?
Froggy. Froggy 104.3 and 94.9.
So we'll end it with going back to my original question is that, podcasting. When you are on the air, you are let me rephrase that. When you are on the air on AM, FM, whether you have a television show, traditional media, you are regulated by the FCC. Am I correct?
Yeah, we are.
Do you hesitate?
I never think that because I don't go on and use profanity and stuff.
So
but yes.
have you? So in your career, when they bring you to the radio station, they say, "Hey, here's the seven words you can't say on radio." I mean, do you get instruction as to what you can and cannot do, like formal instruction? You can do this, but you can't say these 7 things. Were you ever sat down and told that?
I think that at my point in my career, they expect me to know that. So
I'm talking when you started, I mean.
Oddly enough, I don't remember anyone ever having that conversation with me. But I can tell you that in my early days in radio, when I was doing stunts, Danger Boy, man.
Did you push the envelope?
Oh God, yeah, yeah. I did stuff. I did some crazy stuff, dude.
Oh well,
there's no.
Do tell.
There's no doubt.
Do tell.
I mean, I didn't get this name Danger because I was
do tell.
I wasn't selling Girl Scout cookies. But
were you more dangerous as Danger Boy or Danger Man?
I mean, I did all kinds of stuff. I would knock on people's door and ask if I could use their bathroom. Like, I'd go through a neighborhood. One time I did.
And you were an intern when this happened? I mean,
yeah, they had me go through a neighborhood and knock on people's doors and say, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?"
You can get shot doing that.
And then finally someone said yes, and I went in there, locked the door, and turned the shower on. Just to freak them out. And they were like, "What are you doing in there?" They were like, "Turn the shower on, just stay in there for a while." So, I mean, that's just the
impractical jokers.
I've done so much stuff. I mean, one time a politician in Tennessee got in trouble because she was caught stealing a purse at a store. And then I went out and collected 1,000 purses, went to her house, and threw them all in her yard. That's what I mean by Danger Boy.
You guys live a little differently down there.
I was antagonistic, to say the least.
Okay.
And I still do that a little bit on the radio. If you listen to my show now, there's a little...
a little edgy.
Yeah.
It's a little edgy.
Yeah. I don't... If you're looking for vanilla, I'm not vanilla. You know, I got red hair, man.
So again, though, what I think why podcasting is tremendously appealing to me, whatever the podcasting thing is. I mean, I'm big into video. I think the video element separates the strictly audio podcast from something special. And video is that thing that it's just more candy in your brain, right? So the great thing about it is there really isn't any regulation. You see.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, do it.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here dropping F-bombs. I'm not sitting here smoking dope. I'm not doing all the things that are ultra. We're not doing ultra risque things. My point being, though, we're not regulated.
Ultra risque.
We're not regulated.
Yeah.
Conversations tend to be more frank. There's more real, I think, when you're not regulated. And so, how long is that going to last before the heavy hand of the government comes in?
That's a good question.
That's where I'm headed with it. I watched the Rogan show.
10 years.
And like I said, Joe Rogan was one of the motivators for me to do this. The things that he does, whether it's whatever he does on there, he's pushing the envelope. You could never do it on terrestrial radio. Could never do it. Howard Stern can't do the garbage he does on terrestrial radio either. I get that. But this
garbage.
Well, I'm not a big fan of Howard's, but that's a personal opinion. Sorry.
I don't want to be linked into that. I want him.
I like the guy. I just don't know the whole.
I never
got the stick. The stick doesn't. I don't know. It's just, how many bathroom jokes can you take on a daily basis? I mean, it just eventually.
My career in radio. You know what I've had high profile programmers tell me. They've said, Danger, you're like big market when you're out talking to people and when you do interviews. That's what I've been told by...
That's a compliment.
Yeah, no, those are the compliments.
Right.
And I assume they're saying everything else I suck at. But
no.
When I'm out and about and talking to people, I'm good with that. Right. That's when I can and I've had job offers. Since I've been here in Pittsburgh, I've had job offers to other markets and stuff. But because I'm married to Pittsburgh, I'm married to Yinzer and raising a family.
You did well.
Thank you.
She might have married down, but you did well.
You know what? We were going back.
I'm sorry.
Listen, man, we were going backstage, and Darius Rucker one time, he said, "What's up, Danger?" Then he saw my wife, and he was like, "You married up, buddy." And then he signed his damn picture and wrote, "Danger, you married up," or something like.
The man doesn't lie.
I was
he
like,
speaks
dude,
the truth.
I was like, dude, quit flirting with my wife,
he speaks
man.
the truth.
Yeah. I know. But I love. This is a great town. It's a big city with a lot of small towns.
Yeah.
There's
You're right.
so many reasons that if you were born and raised in Pittsburgh, man, you were blessed. You were blessed.
And every town has their own little flavor to it too, which is great.
Yeah.
And that's the. I don't know. That's the intangible that you can't explain to somebody, especially when they're coming in to buy a home from their city. They just don't. And until you get here and like get entrenched, you can't feel it. It's nothing you're going to get over a weekend looking at homes.
In most of the areas here, that if someone, it's a bad neighborhood, I'm like, that's not a bad neighborhood.
No.
You don't even know what a bad neighborhood is if you're raised in Pittsburgh. Most of the neighborhoods are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are. There might be a couple that are bad. But then there's been a renaissance where like Lawrenceville's have happened and Garfield's being flipped and Polish Hill and Stanton Heights and East Liberty and who knows what's next, Northside.
Right.
You know, it's like there's just this town's an amazing town, man. We're
So
blessed to be here.
You've been doing the afternoon. What do they call that? Your time frame. It's not an
Afternoon
afternoon drive. That's
yeah.
afternoon drive, and you've been doing that for 17 years. The same time slot. 17
years ago, right now, I was loading up my SUV to move here.
Have they ever approached you about doing mornings or evenings? I can see why they'd leave you where you are because of the ratings. I get it, all that, but I mean, have they ever approached you about doing a different time slot?
It's been discussed a couple times, and then they usually come back with they don't want to change something that's working. So.
And you're good with that.
Well, listen. When I came here, I'd always done morning show.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's the big show. You got to be on the mornings. But every now and then I think I want to do it. But then I think I haven't had to set my alarm clock in 17 years.
Yeah, you may be in trouble if you have to.
The morning show's early, buddy.
Yeah.
I did that for a while. In my 20s, man, I was waking up at setting my alarm for like 3:30 or 3:45 or 4 a.m.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You go on at 6, right?
5:30, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, imagine that.
That's
bud.
a whole different lifestyle, yeah.
What I would do then, that's how I actually got into golf. Because I would do the morning show, and then I'd be like done at the show ended at 10 a.m. I'd do whatever commercials I had to do, plan the next day's show. 11:30 or noon, I was walking out, and I was a young guy. I was like, what am I going to do now? It's noon.
Yeah.
It's Monday, and it's noon. And then somebody was like, you ever thought about playing golf? And we were in the South, Tennessee, so I started going and playing golf like every day. I was done at noon. So I started playing golf and playing, and then I took it up. My dad was into it, so we started playing, and that was a great time, man. Me and him bonded like you wouldn't believe, playing like twice a week.
I bet.
And that was a fun way to – when you have your days free, what do? You know what I mean? I was going to thank God I didn't go straight to the bar at noon.
I don't even know what free time is anymore. Trust me.
Yeah. So that was
adding more to my plate.
It was a little stage I had. I dream of my kids getting into golf or something. And actually, one of my sons, I'm signing him up for lessons out at Old Stonewall.
Oh, that's very cool.
And I'm going to take him up there. And I dream that while he's getting his lessons, I'll be like playing golf 9 holes or something. Getting back in. I love golf. And I think it's the Irish American thing, man. Drink beer, play golf.
Yeah, golf. I like golf, but I don't know.
You don't like golf.
I mean, I don't.
I can tell by the way you said I like golf. You hate golf.
The problem usually is for me. The frustration by the third or fourth hole is pretty strong.
Yeah, it's tough.
And if we've been drinking before we started, and of course if you're going to an event, there's every golf cart has a beer keg in the back. By the time you get to the third or fourth hole, you're frustrated. And you're probably looking at things sideways, and it's not a good combination for me.
You have to play golf enough where the ball actually goes where you want it to every now and then so you can get addicted to it. If you never get to that...
Never got to that point.
Yeah, you can't... It's like...
Used to at a third or fourth hole, I couldn't find my ball.
Yeah, it sucks. Right. You're like, why am I doing this to myself? Right.
This is good, man. This is good. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you coming in. I just want to say that
you didn't come. I didn't come in. You came in.
I appreciate you inviting me. I appreciate you inviting me into this beautiful studio.
Thank you.
Providing
I'm pretty proud of
Irish American beverages. And
Irish American. I guess there's an American flavor to this. I couldn't. The thing I will tell you, when I acquired the case, I haven't bought Guinness in a long time. I was expecting like a dark brown or a dark black bottle.
Yeah, they got the white wrapper on it.
I'm going, what the hell's up? Is that
What's a little rapper? It's some fancy rapper.
No, but what
I'm
is
not
that?
sure.
Is that a tropical bird?
Toucan Sam? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, but for Guinness to have a toucan Sam like tropical bird on it's a little strange, right?
Look, no one ever interviews me. I interview everyone.
And that's why I wanted to do this.
That's one of the parts of my career in radio. I've interviewed thousands of people. Like, literally. Think about thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be at the ACM Awards in a month, and I'm going to interview 50 more people.
Right.
I've interviewed so many people, and no one ever interviews me, so I appreciate that.
And that's the point of this show is a lot of the guests that I would like to have on are people of influence in Pittsburgh and actually in media. Those that are comfortable exposing a little more of themselves to people who are fans of theirs, who like their written work, who like their video work, whether it's sports, whether it's entertainment. So many of public personas like yourself, the people that hear you every day, don't know much more than what they hear on the show.
Well, here's what I want to say.
That's the basis of what I want to try to do here.
Something I wanted to say on this is that I really, really, if to know me is to say I love my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I love my children. My children are my greatest blessing. And when I go home doing stuff I have 4 boys and 1 girl. My kids are like they're everything to me.
Yep.
And then other than that, I'm thankful to every person that ever hired me in radio, that ever gave me a chance, that mentored me. People like Dr. Bob McDowell. I think I mentioned these guys in Memphis, Ron Olson and Steve Connolly that hired me. Joel Burke, Frank Bell. Are you kidding me? He's like my second dad. Gerald Getz, Lynn Deppen, at Froggy that has hired me all these years and given me a chance to make a paycheck and do what I like. What I love, but then people like Ray Pronto and just some people that have been and I'm thankful for friendships in life.
Relationships are everything.
Everyone that's been a friend to me along the way, from musicians to famous people to people, whatever. Tom Rooney, the Rooneys. I tell you one story, one thing I'll never forget. Probably about a couple years ago, Kenny Chesney was at Heinz Field. And I was running through, I was backstage doing all my stuff. And Tom Rooney, friend of mine, he's one of the Rooneys.
Right.
Dan Rooney, he was standing there with Dan Rooney in the locker room. And he goes, Danger, come here. And he called me over, and I ran over to him real quick, and he goes, Dan, I want you to meet Danger. He goes,
wow.
This is the hardest working guy in media. And
How about that?
And Dan Rooney shook my hand, and then I ran off. And then the last thing he said, he goes, there's no tread left on those shoes. And I would say I've hustled a lot.
That's a heck of a compliment.
No. And I think, it's not $1 million, but I've hustled. I've worked hard. I've worked hard, and I've tried to be good to people.
The thing that I love about you is you're so humble, and I have good friends that aren't, and they're still good friends of mine, but you're a really humble person. What you don't see, that a lot of us see, is that you really have built a legacy. You realize you're 3 years away from 20 years.
It's crazy.
And that
my hair's still red.
It is, and you still have hair. That's a little envious on that one. But you really built a brand, and you've helped Froggy, and of course they've helped you too. It's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Absolutely.
But you have a legacy in this town, and that's why it was important to me. I didn't know whether you would do this or not. Number one, I didn't know if you would buy into the concept of what I was trying to do. But number two, I didn't know if you wanted to reveal anything, beyond what people hear every day. Or they may meet you in person, maybe out at one of your remotes or something. But people want to know more about you because you are you're an institution in the town now. It's 17 years. And when it comes to, you are a go-to for so many people coming to work, leaving work at that time frame, that I just don't think, because of the nature of in and out every day, working, going to work, leaving work, you're doing your job, going to your remotes. It has to be a grind. It has to be a grind at times. Yeah,
but I enjoy it because I don't like sitting still.
I don't think you realize the impact, though. And that's why I think that maybe you will. Maybe as a couple more years get on there. And maybe when you reach the 20 year with Froggy, maybe that'll be the trigger where you'll see it. I see it, and I've seen it for quite a while. And I just think that your story is an awesome one. And the fact that you're willing to come in and reveal a little more about yourself, I think that's really good. Well, here's to another 17, my friend.
You too, brother.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it more than you know.
Cheers to you, bro.
Salute. Salute.